And we are live. It's the last weekend of the month. And you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Coin Jam podcast, live streaming. Saturday, October 26th, 2024. It's episode 21 of the Coin Jam podcast. If you're watching this right now, you're watching this on my YouTube channel. I'm Charlie from Overtime Arcade. As always, I'm joined by my compatriots here, Liam from Retro Robotics, Kay from Prime Arcade, Chance from the Canadian Arcade, and this new guy, Ben, who's joining us as our very special guest co-host today. We'll hear more from Ben in just a moment. I've got a new camera here that I don't think I've used on the podcast before. It looks a little dark. I don't know. Might have to adjust the lighting here, get some stuff going on, but I think we're cooking. So how's everybody doing?
What did I say earlier? Gassy? Little gassy?
Let's keep his. Please donate to keep his mic muted.
Oh my gosh!
That's a favor for all of us.
Oh, and Liam was like, "I'm out."
I'm out. Thank you.
My goodness.
2 seconds of that, and that was it.
Oh yeah, that's a new record for him.
Take your Beano and put a cork in it. What's going on? Let's see. We got a lot of folks here already in the live chat. We've got a bunch of Overtime Arcade channel members, including Encore MPW, Arcade Alex, Encore's Arcade, Wayne, the GOAT himself, Gotimus Maximus, got Papa Sean 69, Tubinin from Peterborough, Ontario, D Jones, Random Billy Bob, Sean Cruikshank, who I thought was going to be ghosting us and watching the Dodgers instead. We've got Stephen Wallard, regular viewer. I think he's probably here for the pinball talk. He's usually angry when we don't talk about pinball. Inko is here. Yeah. My brain is fried. I've been working out. I didn't get much sleep last night. Been working on the Deco Burger Time all day yesterday, all day today. I ran out. We had a kids football game. I just got back from that. I was also just wrapping up the harness. So my brain is fried. Blue Blood is a new name here. Welcome. John Reich likes the X-Men LE in the background there. Did we lose Liam again? Oh, no, Liam's back.
Yay!
I don't know if Liam's having issues or whatnot with his internet. And yeah, Sean, I was going to say, you can watch baseball in the background, right? Keep your focus on the Coin Jam podcast. Have the World Series up in the background. Feel free to share, scoring updates here in the live chat. Jim, the Pacers fan, is here. He's here for the pinball. And right off the bat, the GOAT making a name for himself, Gotimus Maximus, with a $999 million super chat donation. Had some sort of emoji there that didn't make it through the YouTube filters or whatever, saying you're welcome, you're welcome. And well, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for that. So, yeah, what's cooking? What's good? What's going on? Do you guys care about the World Series? Who are you cheering for? I thought Sean was a Blue Jays fan, given that he grew up on an opposite coast, really close to the Canadian border. Any of you guys care about baseball?
I'm going to tell you right now, I was completely unaware that there was World Series or anything special baseball was happening. So there's where I stand.
There's like a worldwide event going for baseball right now. Like, what other countries is it being played in?
Canada. I mean, Canada's eligible, but they don't make it.
Canada and the United States do not make the world. Thank you very much.
Maybe not to
I beg to differ.
It's like the football calling themselves the world champions is only played in the U.S.
Yeah, right. Or sorry, like the odd exhibition match in Europe. I think my soundboard is fried. Oh well,
good.
Hooray!
We'll miss that message from Canada. So I'm playing with different views here. If I give us the wide angle view, you can see that the Frogger cabinet that just came down into the basement. But if I go here to sort of fill the screen more, we lose that, of course, and some of the awesome pinball machines in Ben's background. And if we hide the GOAT's donation, we don't get to recognize him as much. I wish that sort of was a pop over instead of a pop underneath. I'm have to send a note
every time.
There you go. I'm gonna have to send a note to the folks at StreamYard, and I'm sure they'll prioritize us, given that we don't pay for our plan here, as you can tell by the watermark up in the corner. Let's see who else is joining us. Ba with the Ba Leet cheering for the Yankees. Random Billy Bob points out that Japan has baseball. They don't make. I mean, that would be cool to have maybe a couple of Japan League teams. I think isn't like Nippon Professional Baseball or something like that.
Are they eligible for the World Series?
Yeah, Adam is expansion teams, right? Get rid of some of these awful ones. Jerry Voluptuous, channel member, checking in. So we are off and running. Yeah, the goat was trying to mute Chase, and I didn't do that. So let me take care of that real quick. So there we go. And Ben, if you don't, this is a running joke for us. You might have seen in a previous episode. Folks like to donate so that they can mute Chance's mic because he tends to I don't know, rub some people the wrong way sometimes.
At $999 million, it seems like it's like
US.
really just a massive desperation.
Well, the problem is YouTube takes a huge cut of that. So by the time we see it, there's not enough. There's barely anything left over for.
Yeah,
Kate,
what's this Wii stuff? I was about to say, like,
y'all get.
We got expenses here, right?
I check my mailbox every day. I ain't got no check yet.
We got electricity. We got, I don't know.
$9.99 American could feed a Canadian family of 4 for a week.
It buys you a lot of Timbits.
Yeah.
See, I'm using all my Canadian humor. All right. Oh, the goat says he actually likes Chance. So good thing I.
He keeps calling me Chase.
I do, or he does. Yeah.
You did
oh, the
just
goat
a
called
minute
you
ago.
Chase.
Yeah, but you
There you
did just
go.
a minute ago. Chase is something that dogs do to cars. Well, Chance
That
is
is
a
true.
garden monopoly too.
Yeah, as we
And
found
then
out, ours really likes to chase cars too, and that is a problem.
And when they do that, there's a chance they might get run over. There you go.
That's horrible.
No.
So, it's funny. I always think about, if somebody is new and this is the first episode that they're watching, they have absolutely no idea what's going on. They don't know who any of these bozos are. They don't get any of the jokes, any of the in-jokes, anything like that. And I know that annoys me when I go to watch, or do a podcast or something for the first time, and I don't know anything that's going on. Usually what we're talking about here is arcade and pinball and sometimes other types of coin-operated amusement machines, redemption games, jukeboxes. We've talked about vending machines, vintage vending machines, like restoring a cigarette vending machine. For any of the Zoomers out there, they used to sell cigarettes in vending machines in the United States. But yeah, that's what we're all about here. We got Tony Arrowwood from the Arcade Woodshop checking in. Gabriel learned his lesson about chasing cars. Yeah, hopefully he's okay with that. But why don't we get started, dive right into it, and start going around the horn. We've got Ben here. We'll hear a lot more from Ben in a little bit. He'll tell us all about himself, how he got into this hobby. He's got some tips and tricks that he's picked up over the years that are actually very relevant to some of the stuff that I'm doing right now. So I'm hoping to take notes and learn a thing or two from what Ben can share. But we'll welcome Ben into participating in the standard sort of round robin updates that we typically do. The first one we usually start with is recent pickups and game room updates. And I will take the ball first there. So I've been super busy, super productive with restoration. So I got Cubert totally done. One of the 2 Cuberts that I've been restoring. This was the J-Rock Cubert. I'm also working on an original hardware Cubert. That one's going to be for my own private collection. That'll get added to the basement down here. And the J-Rock Cubert is one that I restored and put together for my buddy Mark, who's an Overtime Arcade channel member. Him and his wife Danny own Back to the Media in Winchester, Virginia, which is a record and video game and comic book store. And they just added a pretty significant arcade in the back. They got 30-something arcade machines, video games, and like 8 or so pins, mix of classic pins and like modern Stern stuff. Some really, really awesome classic arcade games. They've got like 6 or 7 of my games there, including the Cubert that I just finished restoring, which I was really happy about that. I literally, so that video is not clickbait. I literally worked all night, overnight, finished that game at like 8:30 a.m. And took a quick shower and brought it over to them for their opening at 11 a.m. So that was an all-night Cubert restoration or finishing it up. I also finished the Frogger, which you might not be able to see if I change the view to like this or to like this. We've got a Frogger here, which is great. Really happy about that. So been cooking there, and I've made 4 pickups since the last episode, and which is kind of nuts, from my perspective, because our last episode was about the warehouse raid in West Virginia, and I figured I'd be done for a while, but no. My travels for work, it's just a compulsion of mine. When I drive for work, I just check Facebook Marketplace, and then I buy games that are just deals that I can't pass up. So I alluded to this in the last episode, but I picked up by accident. I was hoping this is not what it was, but it turned out to be a Zaxxon. I was hoping that it was like a Sega Converticab, maybe a TAC-Scan or something like that, or whatever, Monster Bash or something cool. But nope, Zaxxon. Converted to a Raston, though. Raston's a pretty cool game, fully working, so that's pretty nice. And then 2 Pac-Man minis, one that I was planning to pick up on the same trip, but then when I picked up the Zaxxon that had been converted to Raston, or Rastan, or I never say it right, I asked the magic question that you always need to ask every seller when you pick up a game, which is, do you have anything else for sale? He said, yeah, I got this old Pac-Man. Would you be interested in that? And I said, I'd be interested in looking at it. And so that's how I ended up with 2 Pac-Man minis in the truck at the same time. I also just picked up another cabinet this week. Haven't done the pickup video for that. That'll be probably a while. It's a very interesting, oddball, generic cabinet. Not a dynamo. It's not a dynamo. I've been learning from Don Panetta on Clav about this company in this cabinet. Kind of similar to a dynamo, but not a dynamo. And it has a working Clax board in it, a legit Atari Clax board, and also some remnants that it had been previously converted to a Golden Axe. So I got like no room in the garage. Mark's even got some of the games that he's borrowed from me that are ready to come back. So yeah. So let's see. I missed random Billy Bob's $10 billion super chat donation here. He says, insert witty comments here. Let me know if you would like me to change mute or whatever his name is. He's been making a mess in the green room.
What's his name? Community Chest, something like that.
I have a sister named Community Chest.
Oh, he's been making a mess in the green room. He's making a mess in the show notes here.
Censor that.
He's been drinking since before we got started.
That's
I'm over
not
here
true.
being nice and innocent with my diet A&W root beer, isn't it? Yeah, A&W zero sugar, right? Not a sponsor, but hey, if you want to.
I legitimately got up out of bed 4 hours ago. Okay, I've been shooting nights.
That's the kind of bender he's been on. So, good Lord. All right, who wants to go next? Game room updates, pickups. Who's got something to talk about there?
We'll just go in order. Let's just go in order. We always
Then
go in
go.
order. Let's go. Me? Oh, I guess I'm next on the thing.
No, Kay, why don't you go next?
Yeah, Kay, go
Sure,
next.
that sounds good. Let's do that.
Reverse order.
Move with your best foot forward. So, I actually picked up a few machines in the last few weeks. A Big Buck Hunter Pro, Silver Strike Bowling, which I've already got one for sale in the showroom. So this just gave me a second one to sit in the pile and wait for me to actually, have use for it. Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Hydro Thunder. Stop typing in the chat because I can't see my own stuff. Thunderblade. I got a Thunderblade and a upright cabinet, and an Asteroids Deluxe. And I just picked it. It's actually still in the truck. I haven't even dropped it off yet. I just picked up a Time Warp pinball machine.
Nice.
So all
Very
of that
cool.
was in this last week, I believe.
Oh, Time
Is that
Warp's
Time
a
Warp
good
work?
game.
Mostly, yes. I think it's got an issue with the ball return, and it's just been in service in the arcade for a while, so it needs new rubbers and a lot of thorough cleaning and everything like that. But I think it's already got repro boards and stuff in it, so it should be a pretty quick cleanup and fix and flip.
Very
Got
nice,
the
very nice.
banana flippers on it and everything.
Now, do those yellow over time, or what tends to happen?
Most of the rubbers and everything just have a whole bunch of black marks on them from the amount of use that it's seen, because it was on location for a couple of years now. So
He wants you to tell him more about the banana flippers, it sounds like.
Yeah, do those go brown?
Yeah, actually, if you install them too early, they're green. So
Third
Yeah,
time's the charm.
a lot of people don't know that.
I think they're shaped like this.
Wait for it.
My flippers were sponsored by Chiquita.
Yeah, something's not
I
right
think
with
his
that
soundboard got
soundboard.
fixed.
Nah, it's still not right.
Yeah, you should probably mute it. That drum set. Something's wrong with that
working.
drum set.
Yeah.
Does it sound all like wonky and crappy?
No, it
Yeah.
just sounds like
Oh.
Oh wow.
it sounds like a flaccid
my
drum
God.
set.
Huh.
We have our first cuss word on the board.
One of
And-
many.
Blast
Let me
Anyway,
tell you something.
That's the
tell you
last one I
something.
picked up. So if you want to move on to the next person.
The
No,
last
you
episode,
said good lord like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's fine. That's respectful. It's,
Oh, I'm sorry. You think it's a curse word to talk about the Lord?
Are we
did-
about to debate
said-
acceptable verbiage again?
Yeah, he
Listen,
said
listen,
the
this
Lord's
is a-
name in vain.
This is a quasi-benevolent dictatorship. I reserve the right because I'm the one that has to do all the work. Let me tell you, Chance was right. We set a record last time,
Thank you.
and that's why the audio version of the last episode didn't get released until yesterday.
An hour ago.
I never even
yesterday.
saw it on the podcast. On
Yeah.
Apple Podcast. Never showed up.
Yep.
So
Is it
thanks
not
for
there?
that. I didn't even know. I listened to episode 19 to back to 16, trying to catch up, and I had to finally find episode 20 on YouTube, not on Apple Podcasts. So thanks.
Let's see.
Hey,
It is not there. It's been there
Dillweed's gonna
for
dillweed, okay?
since yesterday.
Dillweed
Yeah.
is gonna dillweed. Let that man do his thing.
It happens.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we go to Liam with game room updates, pickups, anything like that?
Let's see. One of the Tempests is gone. Don't like selling games, but it had to happen because I bought an iRobot PCB this last month, and let me tell you, that was extremely expensive. That PCB costs more than any single video game we have.
That's like buying a pen.
Yeah, exactly. So that came in, and the day after we bought the iRobot PCB, which also came with a Atari Disco monitor, which is pretty cool, found an extremely interesting pickup on Marketplace, which turned out to be an Inferno.
A what?
Really?
Williams Inferno.
A what?
Inferno.
Yes, very, very rare Williams second generation game. Mystic Marathon, Turkey Shoot, and Inferno.
Yeah.
50 Inferno cabinets were originally made. It's sort of like Wizard of War crossed with Robotron and Qbert. It's played with canted sticks, 2 blaster joysticks. It's got a unique cabinet. Really interesting. This one turned out to be serial number 2. So
Ooh.
I am extremely excited to try to put this thing back together. It's pretty solid. It's in the workshop right now. I've stripped all the parts out of it, found that it has the original power supply. Coin box is still there. Unfortunately, all the artwork is gone.
That's reproduced already.
All of it's reproduced. All of it's been scanned. I have a line on a marquee, hopefully. But I found out that it does have the original glass. There's traces of the artwork on it, but it's been scraped off, which sucks. The control panel is savable. Just needs a new metal plate. So I'm really, really optimistic that that'll come together quite nicely, and we'll have that cabinet back in the arcade. I really wonder how it came to be in Ohio. It's just converted to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of all things. But I saw this thing on Marketplace, and for a split second, I thought it was a joust. I thought it was just some weird, messed up joust, and I did a double take. Dillweed picked it up for me, so many thanks to Dillweed.
Did you see the restoration that Jeff Willard did from Ozark?
Yeah, I actually
Arcade?
spoke to Jeff about it, and
Jeff's
trying to get advice on what to do, because with Inferno, something this special, I really don't want to mess it up.
No.
I want to make sure I use exactly the original methods to put it back together. I found that it did have a primer layer underneath. I'm scrutinizing the side of the cabinet and checking it out to see exactly how I can reproduce it, because tomorrow I am going to be sitting out there in the garage, super gluing down bits of flaking wood and then bondoing and sanding the cabinet.
Sandoing. I love that.
Sanding.
That's a technique Ben's going to teach us about.
Sandoing. Yes.
Teach you all about sandoing for sure.
Well,
I do have a quick question though. This Inferno, I don't know if it suffered any water damage. Did it ever suffer any fire damage?
No, but the iRobot has. The iRobot has fire damage on it.
Where's the soundboard chance?
Termites.
No termites. It actually is in pretty good shape, honestly. It's got a little bit of damage on the bottom from being dragged around, but other than that, just minor scratches and a couple extra holes.
And the two things that tell an Inferno from a Joust are like the monitor's tilted back a little bit different, right?
The monitor is tilted back. The monitor's back about 30 degrees, and the control panel is longer to compensate. So it goes up over the monitor area.
And
like that
the
silhouette
usually-
is just subtly different.
The
Yeah, and
silhouette
usually
is
it also says
somewhat different.
Inferno on it.
Yes, this
Now that
one
it's been
has
converted.
the serial stickers are all still there on the top, inside, on the back. So very clearly an Inferno. So
Does the monitor have any burn in?
it does, but not Inferno burn. It's got double dragon burn of all things, but it is the original monitor.
What are you trying to get me to play? Oh, this.
The one that doesn't work
It
right.
just sounds so pathetic.
Does this
So-
one? Does this one?
Yeah.
Is that
I'm super
Yep.
psyched for
Nope,
Inferno.
Can't even hear
and
that one.
weird?
The last Game Room update is from last month's podcast, the Warehouse Raid. I got that food fight all finished and is in the arcade now.
I haven't even touched any of the games that I got in that raid, and you've
Well,
already
you
got.
need to get cracking.
Projects
and stop
done.
buying projects and start working on projects.
Hey, I've been cranking through stuff. Yeah.
I think that's more of a comment towards me because I haven't really done much.
Release videos, take showers, nothing.
Whoa! Shots fired. I'm
No,
very
no.
hygienic.
He also begs Kay for ice cold beers.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Has anything come of that yet, Chance?
No, we haven't had a talk because he left.
I
the
sent
green room.
I sent him a video.
Yeah, but then you left the green room after the episode last time. We were gonna chat.
You have my
You
number.
don't have Discord or something? You can't just talk to him?
I texted him directly. He has my number. I sent him a
Oh,
video
priority.
of
I'm
what
trying
condition
to
it's
find
in.
you a RoboCop. We've lost all control.
RoboCop pin.
Oh, the pin. Oh, yeah.
So, Ben, you've kind of seen how this goes a little bit. Do you want to share with us for yourself any recent pickups,
Any
Yeah.
logs
room
off?
updates?
So this guy right here, X-Men LE, and yeah, scooped that up recently. It was sort of an impulse buy. I don't know what else to say. It was one of those situations where my wife actually said, "Hey, you ought to get the nicest one that's coming out." She's a fan of X-Men. Looks like Liam's pretty big fan of X-Men back there. I don't know. I haven't bought like a new inbox pin in quite a while, and it just seemed to be, I don't know, just all the stars just kind of aligned. And then when the wife says, "Hey, maybe you should get the LE,"
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no. So that's the most recent pickup. The other, like what I'm working on right now. So I for the last handful of years, I've been building pinball machines from scratch with a really good friend of mine. He's on the chat as Blue Blood, and phenomenal guy.
Oh, okay.
Tremendous engineer. And anyway, so this video is like tripping me out. This game here, this is Indiana Jones. We made that from scratch, and took about 11 months.
Built an IJ from complete scratch?
Yes. Here, I'll get out of the way a little bit. So cabinet completely from scratch. Playfield, of course, that was purchased. The back glass was purchased. Any of the pieces of artwork, of course, those are reproduced, so that's what we purchased. But all of the metal, the ball guides, many of the mechs, and you name it. The wiring harnesses, the cabinet, the playfield, the back box, the lamp board. We built every single one of those things just by looking at the schematics and working with each other on trying to figure out how to make it all come together. So that was the most recent project that was completed. And then this game here, this is Krull. Do any of you guys know the Krull movie or the significance of this machine?
Terrible movie.
Horrible movie.
I've
Right.
played that machine.
Rare machine.
So for a very short amount
Very
of time, Columbia Pictures owned Gottlieb Pinball Company.
Yes.
And while they were creating the Krull movie, they decided they wanted to make their own pinball machine for the movie. So they made 10 of them as test units, sent them all throughout the United States to check, let various popular arcades check them out. It's right there to the left, Chance. Anyway, the movie bombed.
Yeah.
Made
It's an
25
understatement.
million. They put like 60 million bucks into it. So they shut down the factory. Well, usually when that happens, they will recall the machines and just burn them or trash them, whatever. I don't know. Well, they didn't do that with Krull. They left all of the test units out there. Yeah. So over time, these machines became legend, and they just, they garnered the attention of all the collectors, especially guys that were, since Gottlieb had shut down completely. Collectors are out there trying to find every single Gottlieb pinball that they can put in their collection. And some guys have successfully collected every single one. So over history, one Krull machine was lost to a flood and then parted out. And then another one in Germany, unfortunately, was lost to a fire, along with an entire Gottlieb collection of pinball machines. To my understanding, it was a complete collection. So, yeah, pretty devastating, even not just for the gentleman that owned it, but for the community at large, because, you definitely don't ever want to hear of that or see that happen, because then nobody can ever touch those. So, anyway, a handful of years ago, Blue Blood and I, we kept batting around this crazy idea of, hey, we should build a pinball machine. And we were like, we should pick the most outlandish, crazy, like rare machine we could think of to build, just to see if it's possible. So we landed on Krull. We talked about it for probably 2 years. And then one day I sent some messages out. I started looking for the ROMs. I started looking for some artwork to see what was available. And after finding a set of photos, finding some artwork that was from the visual pinball version of it, and then locating the ROMs and then putting a few things together, we embarked on the journey. It took us 2 solid years, but we made 2 of them from scratch. And so what you see behind me here is, it's fully working. It's very unique, where it has an entire playfield in the middle of the cabinet. And then you have the main playfield on that you actually see when you walk up to the machine. And then you have an upper playfield. So the main middle playfield, you look through the center of it, and you see an entire extra pinball playfield down below there with basically a big bonus game where you defeat the beast. And
now, does that have call outs for Liam Neeson in it? No. They're pretty generic. Gottlieb sounds from the early 80s. Unfortunately, no. Liam Neeson did not make any appearances in this thing. That's too bad.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah. Is he in the artwork at least?
No, he is not. Only the 2 main characters, like the queen and the guy that's going to save the queen. They're the only ones that are actually. And then, of course, the beast.
His name's not Krull, right?
No. Krull, I believe, is the name of the beast.
John F. Krull.
Charlie, have you not actually seen this movie?
I don't think I've seen it from beginning to end.
Like 1983. It's like British sci-fi. It's like
It's like a bad Conan the Barbarian.
It's got Liam Neeson in it.
And a Cyclops.
And Coltrane.
Very special set of skills.
Yeah.
All right.
Before I forget, Overtime Arcade channel member Wayne gifted 5 channel memberships here. So we have 5 very lucky folks. Had Joseph Todd, Lee Kendall, Chris Ford, and the one and only Mike of all trades, the Moat, were all gifted channel memberships. Check if you go into the community tab on my page, you'll see a recent invitation link to get into the private members only Discord. So thank you, Wayne, for sharing the love, helping folks sort of experience a free 1-month trial, free to them, of all of the excellent benefits you get from Overtime Arcade channel membership. But one thing I wanted to ask, Ben, was as far as I know, the current Gottlieb IP holders are kind of notoriously litigious. Like, they'll sue people or send C&D, cease and desist orders, to folks that even like put scans of old Gottlieb pin and vid
they're
manuals online.
notorious. Yeah,
So have you had any issues with that?
That's a dude out of New York, right?
I believe
somebody
you're right.
who bought the IP.
Yeah. Some
Yeah,
old
it's-
dude out of New York. Yeah.
Well, and I think also it may be like that guy must own some sort of a corporation or something that actually holds all of that IP.
Yeah.
So no, the short answer is no. The long answer, which I'll be brief, is if you create something like this, like you go and recreate the Pingo side art for some reason, and you slap it on your machine, you're not going out there and selling it. So there's really nothing that they can do or say, because you're just making it for personal use. So these 2 machines are as far as it goes. We have no plans on making any more. We actually had to sacrifice 2 Gottlieb Volcano pinball machines in order to accumulate all of the mechs and some of the wire. So I actually 4 playfields worth of Gottlieb pinball playfields were sacrificed just for the wiring. There are 95 individual color-coded wires that go inside this machine. And we had just bundles and bundles and bundles of them to unwrap and clean. And then we also had to make actually, my buddy Blue Blood, he actually made quite a bit of wire to be able to satisfy the need for all the extra wire that we did not have. It was a massive undertaking, and I'm not sure how I can post pictures for you guys to see the build progress, but I do have some. So
put a link in the
share
YouTube
link
chat so we can, because that's pretty gnarly.
Okay, I'll go find the link and I'll post it. I'll put it in the chat too, so like guys can go and look at the pin side
After the episode's done.
Right. All right. So Frog Puppet just asked this question about if I have a copy of Crawl on Laserdisc. So I previously owned
Because-
by Alex
Well, yeah, because he has a Laserdisc collection, and his copy of
awesome.
Krull came from the estate of Alex Trebek.
That's great. Funny enough, I actually own a 40 millimeter copy of a legit copy of the trailer of Krull.
Wow.
I have no way of watching it. I don't have a 40 millimeter, projector. So,
Not
anyways,
many people do. Yeah.
yeah, I
think
saw it on
Chance
eBay
does,
one
though.
day when I
No,
was
I
searching
don't.
for Krull parts. I decided to jump on it. It was dumb. Whatever.
Well, and thank you for the $500 million super chat donation, Frog Puppet. You also asked a question a minute ago for Ben about a Gottlieb Cheech and Chong pinball. Is that a one-off or a prototype, or what's the deal there?
I don't know anything about that. I'll have to go. That's interesting. I hope somebody's made some one-off thing. That would be kind of cool. I don't know if that's legit or if if that's a Gottlieb produced thing or something. If it is, it's got to be ultra rare.
Did they ever build the movie The Matrix? Wasn't a prototype made of that one? That should be your next project. I know there's
Matrix
art out
10.
there for it. Yeah.
There's rumors that Jersey Jack is making The Matrix. I have not
There was
seen
a
it.
conversion for Johnny Mnemonic to the
That
Matrix.
was.
That's right. There
Yeah,
was. Yeah. I think a handful of guys have made those, which is pretty interesting and ballsy because I don't like Johnny Mnemonic. I think it's interesting looking, but I don't enjoy playing it. It's too slow.
The hand. Yeah.
Yeah. That whole mini game is
Dumb.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So, okay, currently, now that I've told you guys about these two machines I've made, so this may be like beyond y'all's time, but when Windows 95 came out with a plus version, I know
I
this is
remember
going
I
way back.
remember.
So
Yeah.
there was Space Cadet Pinball.
Yeah.
And nobody has successfully made one.
'Cause it's
And
not technically possible.
So
because
I
of the-
wanted to ask you about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so I figured it out, and I am currently about 1/3 of the way through the project. I have the whitewood created, and I have all of the geometry figured out. I have all of the physics and everything figured out on how to transfer the balls from the lower left of the play field all the way to the top of the warp and everything very quickly.
Interesting.
And it's taken me about 6 months to do the engineering. And of course, again, with the help of Blue Blood, he's a tremendous fellow that helps me out with a lot of CAD and sort of things like that. That
How
I
are
just
you
I don't have.
handling the upper playfield?
That's what I was just going to ask, because the pop bumper and the okay, go ahead.
So when you look at that game, like everybody typically thinks, okay, we're going to try to make mini pop bumpers. Well, that's not really possible, especially if you put them in the exact orientation that they are in the original game. So I just tweaked them a little bit and repositioned them, and then actually got them to fit. And they have plenty of space between them to be able to handle the passing of the ball from one pop bumper to the next.
Really?
And I don't know why nobody ever really thought to just reorganize and reposition things, but I don't know. I spent a week and a half on it, and I figured it out. So anyway,
I'm bringing up a picture here so that we can see this. Hold on. Go ahead. Go on.
I mean, so I don't have any of my artwork done. All I have is the whitewood. Actually, see if I can turn my monitor a little bit. You can see it sitting up on the rotisserie right here. I will have to again post a picture and some stuff. I'm sorry, I was not prepared for that. But I will post a couple of photos so you guys can kind of see. So when you look at that photo that you're looking at, this machine is a super ultra wide body.
Yeah.
It is not a typical shape. So
It's almost two games width, just about.
Yep.
Like a game and a half.
It's very big. So what I did is I took Attack from Mars to use the geometry for the slingshots down at the bottom and the flippers. And I squeezed all of that together down at the bottom. And then I used the 23-inch by 46-inch playfield dimension that Indiana Jones uses. And since I built an Indiana Jones machine, I have all of the stuff to be able to build another cabinet. So I've already built another cabinet and another head, and I have the playfield is the correct width. So I've just gone through and and let me also say this. I haven't taken anything out of the game. Everything that you see there, I have translated that over to a wide body WPC playfield.
How are you doing the pop bumpers on the ramp? Just like an upper playfield with a ramp going to it?
Let me go grab my prototype.
Okay, this I want to see, because this is something that's been bugging me about this game for the longest time.
So here's the bottom of this playfield.
Yeah.
Typical, and I'm using these old Bally coils.
Yeah.
And so this is what I've got. And then it actually
God.
It actually does it.
That's wicked.
Here, I got another piece of art. Let me grab that.
I was gonna say we kind of skipped Chance's game room updates and pickups, but I can report his updates for everyone. He's been working.
No, I actually have updates this time. I do.
You want to take 5 seconds and share it?
This is fascinating. Okay, so game room pickups and updates. I got a copy of RC Pro Am for the Play Choice 10. That's going in my Wild Gunman.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yes, thank you for that, by the way. Charlie sent it to me at like the middle of the day, and
because I was going to buy it if he wasn't.
Oh yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to this. We'll come back to me.
This is really hard to see, and I apologize for that.
The line drawing on the
Here you go.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's gnarly.
So that's my CAD work right there.
That is awesome.
Thank you. It's gonna work. It's gonna work well.
That's so cool. See, because this. Okay, so on the bottom of that, how are you gonna? So okay, I'm gonna go back to the picture here for a second. So on the bottom of that, if you look really, really closely here, let me just make this even bigger. so folks at home can see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. No, I screwed it up. Yeah, there we go. No, I made it worse. Okay, anyway, on the bottom of that, you can see like the outlanes below those pop bumpers. Here,
Yep.
I'm going to fix it. Okay, so you see these
just slide over
outlanes.
just a little bit more.
Oh, stupid YouTube and
Yeah,
garbage.
I don't know how to work this program, or I would have helped with that a little bit.
Oh no, this is me like messing around with. I found it on YouTube. Okay, here we go. So on the bottom here, you've got the 3 pop bumpers, and then right below the bottom of those pop bumpers, how are you gonna do? Because are you just gonna have one pathway? So underneath this upper play field, how are you gonna have those pop bumpers work with the relation of where the ball needs to travel?
Okay, so if you look at the bottom left of where that far most left lane is, okay, so that's a warp zone. So the ball actually shoots from there all the way up underneath that play field, and you would think that typically those pop bumper bodies are going to be under there, like in the way.
Yeah.
Well, I just took it underneath and put it in a subway.
Oh, okay. So you just dropped it down below the play field.
Yeah.
And then up into the, okay.
There'll be there's a gobble hole where that shooter, that left shooter is.
Yeah.
And the ball will fall down in there through a subway, and it's got a piece of wire for him that's going to shoot it underneath the play field and then bring it back up to the top of the play field and then allow it to hit the spinner. And then it's going to transfer around that in front of that horseshoe and then go up to the top lanes. And the geometry worked out.
That's well done. Okay. I'm glad somebody's finally tackled this, because I played that game. You can take me off the main screen, Charlie. Nobody wants to see this.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Too much detail. Extreme close up.
Ah. I've been playing that game since like Windows 90. I remember Windows 95's release, and I remember like the add-ons, and I think I stayed on that before I switched to Windows 98 for like longer than I needed to. And I played that game like heavily.
Yeah, I played a ton of Space Cadet.
It was so good.
That was my first foray into pinball. Like as a kid, like sitting on my dad's work computer, I discovered that game, and I played it like crazy. And then as I grew up, I kind of forgot about pinball. I didn't really think much about it, and just kind of moved on. And then after building these 2 machines, I kept like in the middle of building these other machines. I thought, man, I wonder if it's possible to pull this off. I wonder if I could do this. So I just kept chewing on it. And finally I was like, I'm just going to make a college run at this and see if I can get all the parts together and make this happen. And I mean, it's working out okay so far.
Now, what you should do, what you should do is you should figure out what a build cost to make 5 or 10 of them is.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm using Gottlieb, like old Gottlieb drop targets. I'm using Bally pop bumpers. I'm using Stern flippers. I mean, it's just crazy, like the amount. Well, and then there's there's one of the kickers that has to kick out of a saucer just right, and it is like it's from an EM from like 1960 something. So it's pretty wild, like especially with this game is so loaded full of stuff.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it might be useful to you. There's a guy out in California who's opening out a distributor warehouse full of new old stock pinball parts from Bally, Gottlieb, and etc.
Is he putting up a website, or
he has a spreadsheet up of what you can buy?
Very
Just
nice.
send me
all
that
kinds of
link. I need
mechs.
to get parts for my Eldorado still.
Yeah, I'll
And I don't like
ping it
sending cash or money orders to some guy in like the depths of Jersey for the parts that I need.
Yeah, send them to a guy in Oregon. I've heard good things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where's my soundboard? Why? Yeah.
Well, Chance, why don't you, because we're going to hear a lot more from Ben. Chance, why don't you finish up with what else did you get other than the RC Pro Am PC10 cart?
RC Pro Am PC10 cart is really the big thing that I've bought. I'll tell you what I got back. I got back my my NBA Jam that was on location. It basically died in July, and it's been sitting there at that bar ever since, not working. Actually, we turned it on when we got it home and it's working. So that's home. So I'm calling that a game that I've reclaimed. That should count. So anyway.
Half the podcast is wandered away from the mics.
There you go. Well, and we'll just roll right into the next topic, which is what you're currently working on. So
as he
what
brings
are you currently working
on? What am I currently working on? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so now that one of our 2 television shows that Josh and I are working on are winding down, I'm getting a lot more free time. So I'm starting to plan and buy parts and things that I need for projects. So now that my NBA Jam is back, is that the playfield for it? On that rotisserie? Is that the playfield for it on the rotisserie?
The Whitewood?
Oh, is that a chicken on the left?
Ben, I think you're muted.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there we go. So this guy fits right in about here. Now this is my first whitewood, so I hand cut most of this and only had some of it CNC'd. And so this particular guy does not fit exactly in there because this is like number 5 that I've made. So, but anyway, I'll bring it a little closer so you can kind of see the geometry of like where the flippers.
Shut up and
all
take
that
my
stuff.
money.
That's so cool. We'll come back to me in a minute. Go.
This thing is freaking heavy. It's a little ridiculous.
Oh, that is so cool. That's going to be like, that game's going to be bigger than like Safecracker.
I see a face in there.
Yeah, a face in there too. I saw a chicken on the left where the upper playfield was.
So somebody commented one time that saw it and they called it
Like a Rorschach test?
like disappointed lion or what? It's like a meme.
It's
I
like
don't know
that meme where the guy repainted the Jesus portrait and it looks really, really like dopey.
Yeah, because like I guess they were saying like lion ears are here, and then like his like mouth, and he's like a sullen lion or something like that, or discontent lion, or I don't know. Anyway, so
Also, to anyone who's listening to this in the audio version of this podcast after the fact, you should come back and watch it on YouTube so you actually get the full result here.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah,
All right.
This is it right here.
yeah, something like that.
That is super cool.
Yes, go to
Thank
YouTube. If
So you're gonna bring that to like shows and stuff so that the public can play it, or is that just gonna be in your private collection?
It's going to be in his private collection, and only I can play it.
No, you're going to bring that to a show, and I'm going to get on a flight, and I'm going to come see you, and I'm going to play that all day.
So I do love going to the Houston Arcade Expo. If you guys have not been to that, it's the best arcade party I think I've ever been to. There's like insane techno artists, and freaking Wang Chung showed up this year. It was crazy. Anyway, so I do intend, like once I get it finished, I would like to share. I would also like to see if there's a manufacturer out there that if I'm successful, I mean, I'm not by any means like thinking that, this is actually going to do like everything I hope it will. But if it does, if I actually am able to pull this off, then I would be delighted to, pitch this to somebody that can actually get it licensed and actually produce it. I don't want to build 50 of these, but I think it would be great to build one to perfection. So
who produced that game for Microsoft? It wasn't Microsoft in-house, was it?
No, they hired a third party to build it named Maxis, and Electronic Arts is who actually owns the IP. They bought the IP after really nobody played it anymore after Windows like 98 and then 2000. So
good luck then. They're tough to license because we do a lot of licensing for arcade games for film and television.
Sure.
And EA is a little with the teeth.
I have some friends that have successfully been able to license and do some, and you've probably seen some of their pinball machines and stuff. And I'm probably not allowed to talk about them, but if I put it in their hands, of course,
we're all under NDA here. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll just let them. We'll let them see if they can pull it off.
Is it in Strictly Custom Pinball Machines Facebook group? Because I'm
not yet.
Okay.
You guys, Feel honored. Y'all are the
World
first one.
premiere.
This is world premiere. Nobody else has
Exclusive?
seen this.
Oh, we
Nobody
should have
else has seen
teased
it.
this. We should have
Why?
teased this.
Okay.
I knew
Okay, I'm
about
putting
the
this
IJ.
squarely on your
It's-
shoulders.
It's not my responsibility to hype the thing up. Come on.
You're supposed to tell us this stuff. You're like, yeah, Ben just works on games. He's really cool. We should have him on the show. Okay, let's push back
I
our
told
other
you about
idea.
this previously. You know you did because you already had questions about it from when I told you about it the first time.
You're not just here for the animal magnetism.
I also mentioned the Space Cadet. You know I did.
You probably did, but
I
I
don't
also
remember
don't
the
remember
Space
what I
Cadet.
did 5 minutes ago. So let's be honest.
Well, and I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when you think of Space Cadet, like you're not automatically thinking like, let's go back to the pinball machine, Space Cadet. Maybe somebody's making one. So, I mean,
yeah. Wow.
It's true. Inko's seen it too.
That's rad.
She saw it the same time I did.
That's so rad.
Nuts.
thanks. It's been a lot of fun so far. That's probably why I'm going a little thin right here. So it is pretty crazy.
How am I supposed to follow that with the projects I'm working on?
Yeah, so what are you working on, Chance?
He's
Just
like,
go
I'm,
for the gold, man. Just go for the gold.
I'm working on a Pac-Man.
An X-Men or something, or like I don't know. What am I working on?
We have hypothetical prototype pins. We've got Williams Infernos.
Wow.
What you got, man?
Okay. So the one thing I am working on that maybe can borderline be in the same atmosphere as this conversation, as some of you know, I work in film and television, and I am a Nintendo collector. And one of my favorite movies is Back to the Future 2. So for the last, that's a year, Charlie, maybe a year, I've been working
talking
on
about it nonstop, not making much progress.
A Wild Gunman, a screen accurate Wild Gunman cabinet from Back to the Future 2. So I think it's only poetic that because my job in the film industry have been the guy who built and operated that game in the 80s on set in California for that game, for that movie. I thought, you know what? I'm a Nintendo guy. I got to spare a Nintendo cabinet. Let's make a Wild Gunman. I hadn't owned Play Choice 10. So I thought, yeah, this all stacks up. I can put Duck Hunt in it too and all that stuff. So I just yesterday, a very, very good friend of mine that I work with and his father and, well, I guess his sister as well, are part of one of the local props teams here in Calgary. And his dad has done tons of leather work for movies and TV shows like the assassination of Jesse James from the Coward Robert Ford. They do like Billy the Kid season 1, season 2, The Abandons, which is filming now in Calgary. So Johnny has done a ton of leather work.
You work in the film and television industry?
Quiet. So Johnny has done a ton of leather work for like a lot of Westerns that you've seen that have been filmed in Calgary. And like, this guy is like some of the stories I've heard about, like, just, fixing, stuff that other, people have done. Like, the guy is good. So if anybody on the planet can do an accurate reproduction of the gun holster from Back to the Future 2 that the Nintendo gun is sitting in, which looks like it was just like a prop that they pulled off of the Universal lot somewhere, and the guys who built it just stuck on there. He's going to try and recreate, or what we call match, that same holster for me. So I disassembled the gun from the cabinet and I took it to him yesterday. Now that he's got a little bit of time because some of the shows that we're both working on are kind of wrapping up. So that'll get done soon. And then the only other thing I need is one more cartridge and the thumbprint keypad that's on the front of the game in the movie. So I've already drawn that up in CAD. And I got a buddy with a laser cutter. We're going to cut some red plexi and put the decals and stuff on it. Bonus points, I might actually make it credit up the game. I haven't decided on how I want to do that yet, but I'm going to have to drill a few extra holes in the front of the cabinet in order for both of those things.
Just make it a pressure switch.
That's what I was thinking, like one of those little membrane switches.
Yeah.
But it's finding the right size and whatnot on like Mauser or DigiKey that works best for that.
Just get Jowan, or however you say his name, to make you one.
I got guys in town who have those as well, but like there's a special, like a rectangle shape to it that I want to. I just got to find the right part.
I think you can cut it as long as you're not cutting into the.
You can't. There's the way that those coin up things work. No, that you can't just like slice them up. But So anyway, so that's one of the 2 projects I'm working on. Also, now that I have my NBA Jam back from that one location that we had it at, it's a Konami cabinet that somebody converted to NBA Jam when my buddy Arlen and I bought that game from them to put it at the bar. And I always felt bad that it's a Konami 2-speaker cabinet, 4-player cabinet. And I wanted to do something with it. And I've already got a Simpsons, and Vanessa already has a Turtles, and they're both on location, and those things both like absolutely slap, as the kids say. So I thought, what else?
Do they still say that?
They do. Yeah, I've heard it recently, which is weird. Maybe it was like a millennial trying to be hip.
Sounds pretty Sigma.
What? Smegma?
Yeah. Whoa.
Ohio Riz
That's not very Giga Chat of you.
Oh,
said Sigma.
no cap. So Sigma. Okay. So I thought, well, out of all the 4-player Gottlieb games, what is the best after Simpsons, after Turtles in Time?
Gottlieb?
Yeah, well, it was more that Gottlieb did any
Konami. Wow.
They did a 3-player.
I'm still thinking of those. Yeah. Ghostbusters? No. Yeah. No, I'm still thinking
Three Stooges.
Three Stooges. Yes, that's right. I'm still thinking of the pins. No, what is the best Konami 4-player game that I don't already own? What's next on the list? I'm not a big fan of Bucky O'Hare. Nobody knows what Bucky O'Hare is.
Sunset Riders.
Sunset Riders is okay. I used to have a PCB for that, but that's a little too on the nose for Calgary, Alberta, because we're already a country town. And so I figured I probably could just throw a Turtles in Time board in my
Saskatchewan that had the Rough Riders.
No, that's a football team. And then so I was thinking X-Men. X-Men's got to be the way forward. So I've put out the word, like Tig Laurie's looking at a board for me. Scuba is and I are talking about boards. There's a couple of people out there. Basically, whatever I can do to get them what they want for trade, and we'll go forward.
What about the 6-player version? Just go with that.
You know what? I already have the cabinet. It's basically, I just need to go to XL Arcade and get that art kit. I know he's a fan of the channel. I used to talk with him back in the day. So I'm going to grab one of those X-Men art kits from that and I think just do it up. I don't need a 6-man X-Men.
Right on.
Yeah. So
maybe
those are the things I'm working on right now. So.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't celebrate and appreciate Wayne, Overtime Arcade channel member Wayne, for gifting another 5 free 1-month trial memberships to Overtime Arcade. These 5 went to a couple of new names here: DSL Events, Zero Redo or Redux, Fat Belly, it's my burner account, Richard ABK Storm, and Craig Shepard. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you, Wayne, for gifting another 5 channel memberships. Again, y'all should go to my channel, the community tab. You'll see a members only post from the other day that has the latest invitation link to join Discord, and then everything else will happen automatically for you all. So Liam, how about you? How's progress going on the iRobot, all that stuff?
iRobot, the artwork is salvaged. I was able to get all the black paint off of it. I've got a Firefox cabinet I bought from Dillweed that I've stolen the head box from, so replacing the fire damaged one that was on there. Got the disco monitor, got the PCB. I have a joystick now too, Hall Effect joystick. I'm going to repair the original harness that was in there. So all I need now is the control panel, plastic, and the Atari switching power supply. If I can get those 2 things, this game should be playable. So really looking for those. I'm not doing much on the cabinet right now until some more of those parts filter in. So then I can start doing the final assembly. Inferno is active. I'm trying to get as much done as I can before winter sets in. So I've got that.
So you can use it to stay warm. That makes sense.
Exactly. Just set it on fire. Everybody will love that. No, so I'm trying to stabilize the wood and give it at least 1 or 2 coats of paint so that it'll be nice and protected. while it sits in the garage until I have accumulated parts for it, because parts for Inferno are not cheap. So it'll be an endeavor.
I saw the marquee on eBay. I posted a link to, what was it, $400?
Yeah, and that one looks like they literally dug it up. Brought that one straight from hell. I don't think that I will use that marquee. I have hopefully a different solution that I will be pursuing for the marquee. Don't want to count my chickens on that one yet, though. But yeah, so I'm hopeful that Inferno will come out nicely. I'm aiming to have that done mid 2025, if I can track down all the parts necessary. Other than that, I've still got a space shuttle pinball sitting in the garage that I will eventually work up the courage to do something with. We have a new hardtop for it.
Nice.
Sitting set aside until I can borrow somebody's pinball rotisserie and actually work on it.
You don't have to borrow one, just make one.
Yeah, no.
You can make one for $120.
One-time use tool.
No, it's not. Okay, I did a video on this on the Canadian Arcade, okay? It's really easy.
I made one for like $30 one time. You can do it.
There you go. It's so easy. The cheap way of doing it is with like a little bit of the iron tube and some L brackets. That's probably what you did, right?
That was my second or third one. Yes, that a buddy made for me that was made out of like that. But I've also made one out of like 4x4s that I cut up and screwed to each other and then drilled some holes in and then put the L bracket on and put some piping and stuff on them to hold the playfield and put some clamps on. So,
easy enough. And now I showed in a Canadian Arcade video, Josh and I showed people how to use a miter saw stand.
Nice.
As a miter saw stand.
A miter saw stand. Yeah, it's a great video. It's a miter saw stand, a couple of Lazy Susans, and some box section. That's it. Like, it's stupidly easy, and it's a fun little project. And then you take the parts off, and you put your miter saw on it, and you can continue using it as a miter saw stand.
And oh, by the way, Liam, I don't know if you're watching the live chat, but you you got the green light from Sam from both Retrobotics and Retro Reads, who says, "Just buy one." She's
buy
telling you
one.
To buy one.
Just go to where do people buy stuff from? Marco's Specialties now. Just
all right. I have been successfully bullied into working on this. I will.
Look, man, you walk into any grocery store, and right as you go in, there's like rotisseries for like $7. You just
in Chicago, every
already
grocery
hot and
store
ready to
has
eat.
Chicken.
Just you know what? It's just
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Did you see the guy with the shirt that had the UPC code? He's like, I don't want any LED on my rotisserie chickens.
I heard about that. What the heck?
Wow.
There you go.
But no,
I think I mentioned this before, Liam.
Tell the story. It's really funny.
I've got an NPU for a space shuttle if you need it. I think it's working.
I was actually, so I have done some work on it. I was able to get the NPU going, so that works. The soundboard is not working. It has no sound coming out of it. I don't know what's up with that. And what else is going on? The displays are all shot on that space shuttle. So backstory on the space shuttle, it's been mentioned before in the podcast. We got it a couple of years ago now. It was found in a barn in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's pretty heavily water damaged.
Kind of suspicious that's where weird space stuff tends to show up.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is that I had an actual NASA mission sticker right over the center of the playfield, which was kind of interesting. But it obscured it was a space shuttle mission patch, but it was not the one that was stock on the machine. So I always thought that was fun. But yeah, it will get fixed. It plays. It's just so rough that it needs a couple new brackets. It probably needs some harnessing work. It definitely needs new rubbers, new plastics, the new playfield. It's just a whole thing. But I need to actually work on it. I have space now, so I need to set it up and do it.
Look, once you buy a rotisserie, I'm just going to say this, because as a pinball guy, once you buy a rotisserie, you will buy more pinball machines.
You hear that, Sam? I know you're watching.
I know Sam's watching. I'm talking to her in the chat here. She says, and I quote, "I want another space pinball in arcade."
Yeah.
Well, you guys have Space Station, right?
Yeah, we do have a space station.
Very cool.
You get a TNA. That's a space
shuttle. Ish.
You know why I like Space
Take
Shuttle?
some
You know why I like Space Shuttle? This should resonate with you building Space.
You could
Cadet.
get an Apollo 13.
It sounds like Space Cadet. I have appreciated that
the
sounds of Space Shuttle sound like Space Cadet, and it has reminded me of Space Cadet playing it.
Very
I like
cool.
the weirdness of the sounds of Space Shuttle. And Apollo 13 is fun, but not as high priority for us. Revenge from Mars, as Sam puts in the chat, that's a higher priority game for us because I like the weird stuff.
But
So
if you get a Revenge from Mars, you have
Pinball's
to
not
get the
weird enough
kit.
for you?
If you get the Revenge from Mars, you also have to get the Episode 1 kit.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
hey, they are both space themed.
Yeah, but one of them is good.
Hey, they're both
That's right.
good games. Yeah.
Now, before we get to Kay's next answer, we got to take a moment to say thank you again to the GOAT for splashing the pot once again. $499 million super chat donation, harkening back to what Chase was talking about. Chase, the Canadian guy with the Hawaii hat, just crazy. The GOAT wants you to get a Bucky O'Hare, and I think took exception with you bashing Captain Bucky O'Hare.
I didn't really bash it. Nobody knows the game. It's a great IP. Nobody knows the game. And like I said in the chat, so X-Men, the reason why I chose X-Men or will be choosing X-Men for this is because it's primarily going on location. It's a dual speaker Konami cabinet, and X-Men is just better than like Vendetta and Moo Mesa and like Sunset Riders and all those games. X-Men has, some curb appeal.
Okay. All right, Kay, back to you. What's
Cool.
currently
What was the
under
question
knife?
again?
What are you working on?
So I've got quite a few coming down the pike. I think one of the next repairs I'll do for out of my repair queue and not my own personal queue is an asteroids that will need to go back to an arcade a couple hours from here. That'll be a fun repair because the deflection board has a lot of char marks on it. Looks like it suffered some pretty significant damage. Shouldn't be too bad. I mean, it's just a black and white vector monitor, and I've worked on plenty of those. They're not so bad. I'll also work on the time warp I just picked up because I think that'll be a pretty quick flip. I also have 2 firepower pinball machines. I did get the parts to put
a lot of
one of them
firepower.
back together. Yeah, it's double firepower effect. I'll be putting one of them pretty much back together and putting all new stuff in it and making it look really nice because it doesn't look that great. The other firepower is going to wait for a while. It's the one I mentioned before that was brought to me on its legs in the back of a trailer. They hit a pothole and the legs got violently ripped off of that machine. So there's a big chunk of wood missing out of the back. I'm going to have to repair all of that and then make it so I can actually attach legs to it again because right now you can't. And
I love how people transport pins with the legs on. The dumbest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's literally slides on the back of a pin so it can.
Unless you're moving it like 2 feet.
Well, what's even worse is the guy brought it to me from a couple hours away, and he made it all the way to a few blocks from my shop. I'm gonna do a how-to video on how to fuck. For Ben, he made it all the way from Lubbock to Yukon Road, and he hit a pothole there,
like 2 inches. You just need to go 2 more inches.
Yeah, he was literally like a few blocks from my shop, and that's where he hit the pothole and damaged that machine and another pinball. He damaged a Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man pinball machine, but that one just bent the leg. It didn't violently rip it out of the cabinet, so that one won't be so bad to repair. I pretty much just replaced the leg. I've got also all those new pickups that I talked about earlier for what I picked up. There will be videos on my TikTok of me repairing and restoring those as well, because most of those aren't going to be too bad. I've already diagnosed the ones I just picked up. A lot of them are just like things I could do in half a day. So I should be able to fix those up, flip them, put them in the showroom.
I'm just going to interject.
Those are the best projects.
I bought a pin dock rotisserie just now because you guys bullied me into it. So
Yeah.
Right on.
How much that set you back?
Peer
Not gonna
pressure.
you peer pressure me into doing it.
One other thing that I was
When
just
the wife says go, you just go.
Oh.
one other thing that I was just reminded about. So I've got a centipede that Inco was just down for a week to help me restore, and I just put videos up of that, I think last week, where she completely redid the side art on them. So just peeling off the old stuff, because that's the one I think I showed before to you guys in the chat, where it had the very odd side art, where it's like a yin yang thing where it was half white and half black, and it wasn't painted. It was actually vinyl like that. I don't know how they did it. It was weird. It took her a lot of time to sand off one of those sides because it was pretty painful. But she did it, and it looks great. The side art looks great. The rest of it I still have to get to. I need to do a new control panel overlay, and then I need to fix it because it plays blind. But that's going to be a very beautiful piece whenever I'm done with that too. So that's also on the queue.
Very nice. Let's see. As for me, what have I been cranking on? So I mentioned I've been working on the Deco Burger Time. I'm hoping to finish that either tonight or tomorrow. But if I'm being honest, I'm tired. I'm probably not going to be doing too much work after the podcast is over. The other thing that I've been doing in fits and starts and things that I actually have some questions for Ben I want to ask about a little bit is I have finally started re-stenciling my Ms. Pac-Man. So this is a game that I got 2 years ago. I bought it and the sides were painted black. I stripped the black paint off, hoping to recover the original side art. But the original, stenciled Bally Midway side art was already like far too gone. I think that's why they covered it up with black paint, not just for a conversion. And I've been putting it off. And now I only have one more layer to go. I did primer. I did the blue sort of base coat. I did the yellow stencil. I did the pink stencil. I only have the black stencil yet. Debating if I want to clear coat it afterwards. So I'll have some questions for Ben in a little bit, but that's what I've been working on. So those two really been occupying my time. I'll jump ahead to our third and final standard update question and knock out my answer right away, which is upcoming plans, parts you're looking for, that sort of thing. Overtime Arcade channel member Scott Brockway was asking a moment ago in the live chat, did Charlie already go over what his next restore is? So yeah, what I've got in the queue like immediately is Burger Time, and that'll be Monday's video. I'm not going to get that video done for tomorrow. I'll get it out tomorrow for early access for channel members, but it'll go to the public on Monday. Next up is probably the Tetris cocktail. So that's a Dynamo HS7, so a generic cocktail that's got a legit Atari Tetris PCB with the cocktail ROMs in it. That's going to go into the new office that my company just opened up locally. So that'll be great. In terms of stuff that I'm looking for, I still need another. Well, I guess I don't really need another legit Qbert joystick. That's Mark's problem. So I'll take that off the list. I don't really have room for it, but I'm always on the lookout for a good price on a Spy Hunter sit-down project. That would be a dream restoration for me. So stay on the lookout for that. So let me kick it over to, let's go backwards order with Kay. What's next? What do you need? What do you want? How can we fulfill you in life?
Ben to build me a RoboCop from scratch.
And have Chance pay for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you want your ice cold beer? There's your project.
At that price, I'd be just buying one of the brand new ones though from.
But then you wouldn't have the satisfaction of restoring it. That's where all the fun is. Really, all I'm doing is working on restocking my showroom, which when I talked about it last episode, I only had like 2 or 3 games in that room. Now I've only got space for 3 or 4 more. to fill my showroom. So I'm much better off than I was earlier. But with a lot of the stuff that I just picked up recently, that should be fairly quick to fix up and get going. I think I should have a full showroom in a week or two. So that's really all I'm doing right now. There's nothing specific I'm looking for parts wise that isn't something generic I can find anywhere else. So I think the only thing I can think of, like specifically for a project that's sitting around, I've got a Golden Tee 2013 that my IO board is kind of messed up on. So if you have a IO board specifically for Golden Tee 2013, holla at your boy, because I think that's the only thing I need to make that game work.
Is that only on the 13?
So any of those Nighthawk games, they all use the same IO board, but there's something, I don't know if it's a security chipper on there or what, but they all differ from each other. And so whenever the game loads, the codes on the IO board and your security chip and your hard drive all have to match. And if they don't, the game does not boot. And so every individual game that uses a Nighthawk, which is all the Golden Tees, Silver Strike, Bags, all those games, they have their own unique IO board, even though they all look the exact same. The only way to know which one it is to plug it into a game and see what code it gives you. Because I've got I've got 4 of them lying around that are all like for a Silver Strike bowling, and I can't use any of them because I'm not trying to fix the Silver Strike bowling. But this particular one has an issue where none of my buttons work. It actually gives me an error when I try to boot the game that says like the following buttons do not work, and it lists every single button on the control panel. And so it's some kind of weird grounding thing that's making none of them work, but it is narrowed down to the IO board. So if you've got an IO board for a Golden Tee 2013, that would help me out.
Every collector's dream.
That's what people have been clamoring for. I get requests all the time. It's like, hey, do you have a Golden Tee specifically 2013? I don't want any other version. And I'm like, I do, but I can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Liam, I'm sure you have a ton of project budget left over right now. So what are you planning on spending that on next?
None. I have none.
It wasn't that expensive.
Let's see.
Inferno,
For iRobot, I need the Atari switching power supply. This was also used in Firefox and certain Atari System 1 games. If anyone's got one of those on a shelf, working or not, I am interested in that. I also need...
Why? I think we talked about this. Are there things that switcher does that a normal switching power supply doesn't do?
Really?
So Atari really wanted to put all the kitchen sink on that board for whatever reason. So in the context of iRobots, the only game in which it used this function, from what I'm understanding, is that it also powered the monitor directly with DC voltage. So the transformer was on the switching power supply and powered the monitor at 100-something volts DC. It also did the DGOS on the monitor on that board. There's a power on reset circuit for the PCB. Just a whole bunch of weird nightmare things. I think it also supplied 15 volts, so AR isn't quite sufficient for it as a replacement. So I would definitely like to have one of those for the iRobot. Just makes life a lot easier, and it's also will fit into the original harness that I have, so I don't have to hack anything else. The other thing for iRobot is the molded plastic control panel. So I have the metal underlayer original to the machine, and that's fine. And I have the joystick, so I don't need to worry about that either. But I need the plastic control panel that the buttons are mounted to in order to finish the cabinet exterior. And that's a hard piece to find, but if anyone out there just has one on a shelf, I will happily figure out a way to get that.
Or 2 or 3.
I only need the one. But you
need multiple.
For Inferno, there are 2, technically 3 difficult to find parts for Inferno. And that is the 2 joysticks, which are similar to Blaster, but they are actually 8 ways similar to Bubbles, optical 8 ways, mounted at 45-degree angle with Blaster joystick handles. So I need 2 of those, but that's just a case of money. And the other thing that I'm looking for is a PCB. So Inferno actually is the exact same PCB as Joust 2, just without the soundboard. So if anyone's got a Joust 2 PCB with a dead soundboard, I'd be interested in that, because that can be turned into an Inferno with extra RAM.
It's a fairly rare PCB in itself, though.
Yeah, but not as rare as Inferno.
Yeah.
You're not going to find
So
an actual Inferno PCB.
what you're saying is, if you found a Joust 2 board, you could burn the ROMs for an Inferno.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Do you want me to just?
I'm 3 for
hit
3.
Wait, yeah. Hold on.
Donate to Mute Me so I stop making puns.
But yeah, that's really all I'm looking for right now, are stuff for those 2 games.
Cool. How about you, Chance?
What am
When's
I
the next
looking
episode
for?
of the Canadian Arcade coming out?
Hey, so I'm looking for we're gonna be filming something soon here, don't worry. I want to do a video. I really want to do a video now on how to properly tear down and move a pinball machine, because every time somebody tells me that, like, oh, I ripped the legs off it because I was transporting it upright, I just want to, like, something
How
quick and
hard
easy,
is
5
it?
minutes. It's so easy. It's
Just-
so easy.
Is
You
it
have to
hail
own a
season in
socket set
Calgary yet?
and know how to use it.
Is it what season in Calgary?
Hail season?
No, that's in the spring. Yeah. That you're making a
that's
joke
in your next
because
episode.
Yeah. So, Dead or Alive, I'm looking for an X-Men PC, 4-player PCB. That, like I said, I've got a line on a couple of different ones from a couple of different people. In case those fall through, I'm always going to just say I'm still looking for it. Art package. Now, we can, correct me if I'm wrong, we can get the art package from XL Arcade. It's a good art package. He does good work, so I probably don't need to have that on the list, but yeah. Double Dragon PC10 cart, a reasonably priced Double Dragon.
One of the most common ones, by the
A
way.
reasonably priced Double Dragon PC10 cart.
It's like,
Metroid.
does anybody have a Pac-Man PCB? I've been looking all over.
Metroid PC10 cart is kind of a lower ask. Still looking for a cut corner dynamo panel, a 23.5-inch panel. And then nibbler parts. So I've got nibbler parts on here. We've had nibbler parts on my list for the longest time. Guess what happened to me a couple of days ago?
You broke your nibbler cabinet.
Yeah, you
No.
nibbled her parts.
Wah wah.
Yeah.
Where's my wait? Hold on, I gotta do it. So about a year ago, I sent out, I think it was a year ago, I sent out a message to the guy on Clove who used to sell reproduction nibbler parts. He actually got back to me last week and he's like, hey, sorry, I dropped the ball on this. I've got a private Facebook group that I normally sell them. You can direct message me there. So I haven't talked to him yet because I've been busy with work, but plan is I'm going to reach out to him and get what I can for nibbler parts. So yeah, long story short, if y'all have Double Dragon PCB, Double Dragon PlayChoice 10 cartridge, I would love to talk.
I've got a Double Dragon PC10 cart and one of the PC10s that I haven't done anything with that I need to restore. If you have something to trade, so I could just still have 10 games in it when I'm done, I'll trade you that Double Dragon cart.
Okay, we'll make this deal right now. If you don't have a pro wrestling,
I do have a pro wrestling.
That's the most common cart.
It's also the best cart. I love pro wrestling. It's a great game.
that is the worst game I have.
It's the best game.
You
It's
don't
the
know how
best
to play
pro
it.
wrestling game in the NES,
No,
first
no.
of all. But
Okay, you
Actually,
gotta think
I'll
with
double-
a business mind here. Throw the Double Dragon cart in the ice cold beer and then force Chance to
Oh
buy it
come
from you.
on!
and make him pay shipping both ways.
absolutely.
Come on.
Um,
And
I
also,
actually let me look because, like I said, I have two Play Choice 10s. If now he's just mocking you with his. If I know one of them has the pro wrestling, if the other one doesn't, then
Then
I
we'll
could
do the
just move carts around. So I just
Okay.
want to make sure that they both have 10 carts.
if
10
hey, if
unique
that's the
carts.
case, I'll pay for shipping both ways.
Okay, I'll
That-
just they're not that buried, so I should be able to take a look and see
Okay.
because I know what the lineup is on one of those PlayStation Play Choice 10s is because it was mine, and I know it has Double Dragon and Pro Wrestling on it. I don't remember what games are in the other one. So
Okay. Yeah, just let me know because, like I said, I'm 99% sure it's pro wrestling. I think I got that from Jeff Willard actually, but I don't like the game. I don't play the game. I know people love the game. It's not my thing. But like the Double Dragon and the sound, like the intro music to Double Dragon between the cutscenes, it's so good. So Double Dragon's on there, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention that Matt has made me. I got to finish a deal with him, but Matt has made me an ice hockey cartridge for Play Choice 10. Like it's not a Play Choice 10
Overtime
Arcade
game. Channel member SNES Cube 64, Matt.
Yeah, he found it in a box the other day. We had both totally forgot about it because I'm scatterbrained, and so I gotta reach out to him and grab that too. So that'll be cool. And then I'll be done with my Play Choice 10 collection. I just need to get the last parts for the cabinet.
Oh, and yeah, the goat reminds me, and Stephen Wallard also, that doesn't Ty, who you call Tig,
yeah,
by the way.
I always call him Tig. I don't know. It's just the way I pronounce it. Ty Laurie does have. He reached out to me. He says he does have a couple of X-Men boards.
It doesn't want to sell it to you.
No, he does. We're talking. I don't have what he wants for it just yet because we're trying to do trades. Well, no, I'll give cash. Like cash is not a problem. But if these guys want to trade for boards, I'd rather they have exactly what they're looking for than just cold hard cash. And I think we've all talked about trades as well. Because I think a trade is better than cash in a lot of cases. He's got one. What he's looking for, I'm reaching out. If anybody has a Mortal Kombat 2 PCB they want to give up, I would love that. Josh Brown has a Mortal Kombat 2 PCB, but I haven't talked to him yet, and he's not answering my text messages because we've had a long week at work, and after that, we don't talk to each other for a couple.
You guys had a falling out. And that's
no. We just it's like now that he's working like mostly full time for film, we barely talk to each other on the weekends because it's like, oh god, this guy, like, why do I have to? But like
Encore in the live chat says you guys should chat also maybe about X-Men.
Oh yeah, let's talk. Whoever's first, whoever I can satisfy with the trade deal first, I'm guessing. And because nobody's really in a rush to sell them or trade them or anything, so that's fine. I just got the cabinet back. I'm a few weeks away from having some free time anyway. I'm not in a rush. But yeah, Josh has the board set from the Mortal Kombat 2 that we built modified for the Last of Us TV show. So I know he loves Mortal Kombat 2. So I haven't even bugged him about that yet. I was hoping he was going to be watching today or beacon people in the live chat. But he's off doing the family thing for the day, I believe. So I'm not even going to bother asking him for that. But I know someone else who might have an MK2 board. He hasn't gone back to me. So
pretty easy to find. Ben, let me ask you. Too. You're looking you're looking for an MK board?
Yeah, I've got 1 and 3 Ultimate. I don't have 2. I would like to put all 3 in the same machine. I have a Mortal Kombat 2 cab, and it's got 3 Ultimate in it right now. And it would be cool to have, all 3. Actually,
Mortal Kombat 3 is the best Mortal Kombat. I'll fight anyone who disagrees.
My dream is to build a modern Mortal Kombat to put like Mortal Kombat, whatever the most recent one is, in there with arcade controls would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's a guy that goes to Texas Pinball Festival every year, and he takes his, and it's got like subwoofers right in the front, and it's incredible. It's so great.
Yeah, somebody on Clav made one of those Mortal Kombat 1 cabinet. Really cool game.
Yeah. Is that what you're going to build when you're done with the Space Cadet?
Maybe.
That's the next project.
No, it's going to build me a RoboCop. How many times do I have to tell you?
Hey, where is that RoboCop that you sold that guy like south of town or something? Can't we just go rob that dude?
It's in Colorado. I did find that guy's number and call him, and yeah, it's well out of state now.
Dang it. I knew I should have bought that machine from you just so I could have sold it back to you.
I shouldn't have sold it in the first place. I should have just kept it.
You got to tell me we're just going to have a little explain to me why you want a RoboCop pin so bad.
It's very simple. In 2016, I got a RoboCop pin as a trade. I sold a guy a multicade. He paid me with a RoboCop pinball machine that was fully working.
Wow.
Great deal. Absolutely.
That's an IKEA start the car deal. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So I was still working out of my garage at this point. I had barely started the business proper. Like I had barely quit my job and started doing it full time. I bought the machine or traded for the machine to fix it and flip it because that's how I pay my bills. And I did all the work to clean it up and everything and put it up for sale, and it sold relatively quickly. And the moment it left my hands, I was like, that pen was really fun.
Yeah.
Like I there's no way I couldn't have sold it because I had to pay rent, but I have not seen one locally at a decent price since then, and I don't know if I will.
I don't think
The
there
power
has
of
been
seller's
any.
remorse.
You guys, I don't think y'all. I don't know how much Kay has talked about this, but we are in the middle of the freaking desert.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. We are 6 hours from everywhere substantial. So what that means is like this place sucks. There is nowhere to go play arcade games. There's nowhere to play pinball. So all the old stuff that was here has all been basically ripped up out of this area and taken to Lubbock, where Texas Tech is. And so it is like, it is a miracle if you find a pinball machine here or an arcade machine. Like, I don't know how Kay finds this stuff because I can't find anything. Every time I want something, I have to travel an ungodly amount of time and distance to go like pick up anything and hope to God, like you guys have talked about, hope that it's still there once I get there. So
yeah, I know the travel ungodly far.
Yeah, it's
that's
been
basically
insane.
the same as like where we are, or Regina, as Wayne just pointed out in the chat. We, you know, if I wanted to sell something, oh, that's another thing, Charlie, I want to bring up really quickly. If I wanted to sell something like really, really nice, really, really good, the stock of like buyers in the area, or like just it's hard. I got to ship it because it's Calgary, right? We're 4 hours from the border and even farther when it, you know, gets over the border.
Same here. I was trying to sell like a really good jukebox for $200 that should have been going for at least $1,000. Nobody out of Dallas Fort Worth would drive here to get it.
No.
And yeah,
What was the jukebox?
A CD jukebox, a Rockola, you know, like from the late I think it was like 2002 or so. So I mean, for anybody that wanted a CD jukebox, it was fine.
Those guys in California and Portland and like New York, and they just have it made, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like a lot of our games have come out of New York. I keep driving up there.
Yeah, we got lucky that like there was a couple of big distributors in central Canada, in Saskatchewan, Regina back in the day. That's why I think a lot of collectors exist in central Alberta or central Canada, because there was a big Nintendo distributor down there for the longest time. That's why, you know, there's umpteen million Nintendo red tents in our area. And we see that every time someone here finds another one, they post it like, hey, I found a red tent. And everyone in the States is like, you piece of like, I've been looking for one of those for a decade. So yeah.
What all Nintendo cabs do you have, Chance?
That's a lot. That's another episode.
Okay.
But speaking of which, I am building a skyscraper cabinet.
Sweet.
So we've talked about this to length. Skyscraper is an unreleased. I don't know if you know, Ben. Skyscraper is an unreleased game by Nintendo.
I'm familiar. Oh yeah.
Perfect. So I'm one of the 14 people that have one of the Nintendo sanctioned.
I thought it was 17.
It might be 17 at this point if he's still giving out kits. Wow. Shots fired. But I have one of the Skyscraper kits.
Nice.
I was lucky enough to find a TNX board, which to this day I will fight anyone who says that's a skipper board. No, it's an internal Nintendo development board. They were used for Popeye, for Skyscraper, maybe some other stuff. We don't know. I'll have to go to Japan to prove this, but we'll get there one day. But so I have a TNX board. I have a Skyscraper art package. I've pretty much built the Skyscraper kit. In the program, those of us who were in it, we also received a daughter board that helps permanently convert a Popeye board set over to Skyscraper. So that's where I'm stuck right now. I'm just at that. I had no time, but the PROMs are basically what I've just got to test, put them on that board. And then here's the big news. As soon as I'm done that Skyscraper cabinet, it is for sale. I am going to sell that thing. I know only one has gone up for sale before. It with its a working TNX board. I think its sticker price was like $9,000 American. I'm not looking for that, but I will be selling
$8.99.
Yeah, no. Officially, I will now say publicly, I will be selling my Skyskipper board or Skyskipper project that I've been building. It will not come with the TNX board because that is of more value to me as a TNX board, as a Nintendo collector. But it will come with the actual converted Popeye Nintendo licensed Skyskipper board package set.
Very cool.
As soon as that's done, which will hopefully be before Christmas, January, I just got to get the P-ROMs back from a buddy of mine who's just out of town. That will be up for sale. I will, for a price, I will crate that thing up. I will ship that thing worldwide, but you've heard it here first. I am going to be soon selling my Skyskipper project. So
you don't even have to announce it. I already know that Liam wants it because he loves everything Nintendo.
no, he doesn't. He hates Nintendo.
He's a huge fan. How many Nintendo cabinets do you have again? All of them?
But like I've been sitting on this game. I've been building this game and I've been part of this project for like 7 years now. And it's only now that we're finally getting to the end of it. I've
Is
put
Fetish
tons
Boy
of money
part
into
of
this.
that group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, is he? Fetish
Or
Boy?
did he build one and finish it, and then maybe he's not part of the group? I don't know.
No.
I think he got
Cabaret.
the art package put together.
I think he might have been one of the extra ones. He's one of John's buddies. I don't know. I can't remember who's all in the group, but I know like Jeff Willard that we previously mentioned from the Ozark. Jeff built. He was part of the group. He sold his with the TNX board to our buddy Mark Shields down in Texas. Mark's a great dude, and I know Mark has his, loves it. And any Nintendo collector out there is gonna normally want it. Everyone's like freaking out at me anytime I was like, oh, I might be selling it, but honestly, I just had this game in my collection for so long unfinished that just something about it, even as like a diehard Nintendo collector, like I'm just done. Like I want it finished. I'm going to play it a couple of times and then I'm going to pass it along to someone else to be the custodian for a while. But it's going to need to go. So
Got to fund that ice cold beer somehow.
Yeah,
actually, the idea behind it is I as a side project, I'm going to put that money into a racing simulator. So
nice.
Yeah, I've been building.
Sounds
one
like
of those for a
Chance
little
getting
while.
out of the hobby. Anyway,
No, that is not true.
We are officially 98 minutes and change into this episode, and we really haven't had Ben introduce himself. So, Ben, why don't you take a couple minutes and explain to everyone who the heck you are?
Right.
You mentioned a little bit how you sort of got interested in pinball through, Windows 95.
Yeah.
Maybe what did that transition, then look like, right? So tell us a little bit about yourself, especially like how you got started. Like, what did you buy first, and how did you get to own over 100 machines?
Yeah, so I grew up loving video games, and my dad sat down with me and had a real serious talk with me, like in high school, at the end of high school, and was like, you need to figure out how to put this time into something that's going to make you some money. And so I kind of shoved off video games, I guess, a little bit in college, and then kind of regrew my love of them after my wife and I got married. And we were driving around town one day, very, very early in our marriage. And we found this guy was selling a couple of cabinets in front of his house in a driveway. And I slammed on the brakes, and she grabs the dash, and she's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" That guy's got arcade machines for sale in his driveway. And she rolls her eyes big time. And I back up into this guy's driveway, and he's got a Slither, a 1982 Slither.
Ooh.
So
that's rare.
I did not know that it was that rare when it was the first game I ever bought. I had no idea anything about it.
Please tell me you paid like $100 for it.
$50.
Oh, winner! Cheapest Slither on record, as far as I know.
So there is a Slither for sale right now that's converted, and
no,
I'm not
it's
sure
been purchased. 78
purchased?
White Warps got it.
Yeah, but it was
sticker
converted,
price?
and it wasn't very obvious that it was a Slither, right?
I knew I'd seen it before somewhere. I just couldn't place the cabinet.
What was the sticker price? What did that go for?
I think it was like $100-something bucks.
Really? Oh wow!
Because I don't think the seller knew it was a Slither.
It was a Street
converted.
Fighter at the time.
Yeah,
but the average going price now for a not fully restored, but a restored cab is
$3,000.
like $3,000.
Dude.
Like, How could you not for $50?
Yeah, that was my thoughts on the Inferno too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I didn't keep it. It's moved on. But I picked up a Centipede.
Got converted to a Street Fighter.
I'm out. Bye.
Oh, I did anyway. Yeah, there he goes. Bye. Hey, my brother drives Formula 4. He's not coming back. So anyway, I actually called Kay up. That was how I met him, and was like, "Hey, man, I've got this Centipede. I don't know what to do to it." He came over, did his work on it for like an hour, hour and a half, charged me like $150, and really told me that, okay, power supply is bad. The board is probably
Just
bad.
a fuse.
I don't know what he was like. I don't know what else to tell you.
Fun fact about that repair: it
Found
had
a 22 shell in the fuse box.
It had a Go7, monitor chassis, and when I removed that chassis, I didn't realize that the fuse had been blown or whatever, and so it had the charge in that filter cap, and it zapped me as I was
Ben
trying to
found
remove
you
that
unconscious on the floor.
No, it's just the filter cap. It's not like the flyback hit me or anything like that. But yeah, it gave me a pretty good shock, and I'm pretty sure he watched me like drop his monitor chassis because it just shocked the hell out of me.
I was not witness to that. I must have been inside the house, like cringing about.
Oh, then never mind. That didn't happen at all.
Your Honor, I do not recall.
Oh man. So I kind of thought and hoped like this is going to be like the plumber that comes and fixes the thing after you pay him the money, and he goes away and like nothing is fixed. And I was like, well, I've got to figure out how to fix this thing. So,
and I made a living out of doing that, just coming over, not fixing anything, getting paid, and leaving.
As well. Sorry, what? I talked over you there.
I said I made a living out of that. I would come over to people's houses, I would do nothing, they'd pay me, and I'd leave, and it'd still be broken. I've made an entire business out of that.
Yes, and I said, interestingly, that's how plumbers in adult films work as well.
Ooh, it's tough. Anyway, I still have that same exact Centipede. I actually I didn't gut it. I left everything in, but I did the unthinkable, which was put an LCD screen in it and put a MAME computer in there, but it looks legit. Okay, don't walk away because the story gets better. I promise. I mean, come on. So
he upgraded it. It's got 60 games now.
It has like 10 games that play with a trackball and
powered by Prime Arcade sticker on it.
Yeah, pretty much. So I do have a second Centipede upstairs in this game room that you see right here. That is all original, all legit. So I keep that one as a namesake just for that's how my collection got started.
Sorry, is that a 2-story game room?
It is. So
Charlie, what are you doing?
So here's the situation with that. So
what am I doing?
We filled up my garage.
I got 2-story, basement, and garage.
Can you pan the camera back so we can see this? Is that possible?
What do you want to
look up? Okay, never mind. It's like
it's an actual second story.
You can't see.
Oh, I thought it looked from here because of the joists on the floor. It looked like that was like
you thought he just had a glass ceiling and set a bunch of games
like a
on
loft?
It?
No, I thought it was like a loft or like a mezzanine. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we can see, for those of you listening at home,
how to get the pins up those stairs?
His spiral staircase that is reminiscent of an old 1950s fire hall.
Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah, he asked me to get some pinballs up there in that staircase, and I told him where he could stick it.
You say no. Okay, so ice cold beer, yes, win. Donkey Kong cocktail, yes.
Is that a Darius back there? What was that?
Looked like a Darius.
So no, that's an Atomus wave that I have. I use it for my shmup PCBs.
Oh yeah.
And then that's a Vuelix fight machine that I have an Xbox 360 in that I built. I built that Vuelix from scratch out of MDF.
And that was a Donkey Kong cocktail, just to your left
DK Jr. She
popcorn
sits there.
Machine.
She keeps yelling at me. Yeah, popcorn machine. And then this is my little retro station where I play all my retro games. I've got a Mister set up in there. I don't know if y'all know much about that situation, but
Mister's cool. Mister's cool.
It's one of the only things that can play an Inferno, from what I understand.
That is true.
So I bought Centipede number 2, which is not the one upstairs. I bought it and restored it completely, all original, and I bought it for like $200, and then I sold it for like $800. And I, like you guys, I saw oh, there's there's actually like some potential for me to like fix this stuff up and make a few dollars. So I just went through the process of I bought a game, I fixed it up, and I kept it. I bought a game, I fixed it up, and I sold it. And I just did that over and over and over until it just turned into this thing where my house was being...
Until you ran out of money.
And see, my problem is I buy a game, I fix it, and then I'm like, well, I put so much time, energy, and love into this. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, that's
and
my problem.
Nothing ever leaves here.
I'll buy a game or add a game to my collection because I'm like, oh, I really want that, or oh, that's really cool, but I don't sell it.
Yeah.
But I'm very particular of what comes into my collection, though.
So
Same.
I had so many games that my wife was like, okay, we gotta like have a serious conversation. Like that, you've overtaken the garage, you've overtaken a spare room, and there's literally pinball machines and arcade machines in the kids' rooms, in our bedroom. Like they're everywhere. Like, what are we doing here? And so we looked for another house. That was not going to work out because the expense of it was just too much. And then we talked about, well, what if we just took over half of our backyard and built something? So the initial idea was to just build a 1-story, like 600 square foot outbuilding, like what you see I'm in right now. And as I'm working on this idea and engineering the idea, I was like, well, how much more is it going to cost if I just go up 2 stories? And so that's kind of what I did. I built 85% of it by myself. I had an engineer help me like figure out how much weight I could handle. Like you can see all these sea purlins up here. Yeah. That holds like 50,000 pounds, and which is plenty to be able to put in almost an entire arcade worth of games up there, plus a bunch of people. And so I built a DIY elevator that hauls the games up there, and it's worked out pretty good. So
that's the code.
The city signed off on.
Who are you?
Every square inch of this thing. Yeah. So I don't know how. I don't know why they signed off on that elevator. I wouldn't have signed off on it if it were me, but I don't know. It worked out okay. So
can we just have a moment to thank your wife for being awesome?
She's pretty great, man.
She sounds pretty great. Well done, Ben's wife. Thank you if you're watching or maybe
Mindy
watching this. Yeah, Mindy.
What about the
well done.
Power electrical? What'd you do for all that?
Okay, so every 4 to 5 machines are on their own 20 amp breaker. I have everything on switch banks inside of the facility to be able to turn everything on and off, whether it's upstairs or downstairs. Plus, I have the big breaker box that's outside that I can go turn everything off if I really need to go and dig in deep. So it's this building runs on its own 100 amp service. And then my house runs on its own 100 amp service. And I have, this is
Only
really
100
interesting.
Amps?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like enough.
Well, I don't know. I turn everything on. It only costs like $10 a day to run everything if I keep everything on all day long.
Go.
And I never had anything shut
and
down.
5 days of that is a sliver.
How many games are in there?
So, in the house, I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 arcade machines and 30 pinball machines.
Okay,
and
that's not so bad.
That's in the building plus a few in the house.
I've got 120 amps in the 2 arcade rooms. Even that, I sometimes worry is not enough.
Oh, you're fine.
I think it'd be all right.
Yeah, you're fine.
So anyway, I just almost all these machines, with the exception of a couple of like the Attack from Mars LE. Of course, I didn't do any restoration on that thing. A buddy of mine bought it, was moving to Vegas. He sold it to me for a super cheap price before the price just went through the roof. X-Men I bought new in box. That's the first one I bought since COVID, new in box. And then everything else in here, Twilight Zone, Medieval Madness, Addams Family, Slugfest, even my Tron LE that I have, like I had to go through and restore all these machines. You know, they just need some sort of, they all need like a level of restoration, attention, maintenance. I mean, you name it, you know, some of them full refurbishment. I've had games that I built complete cabinets around. I got a Gamatron playfield at the Texas Pinball Festival one year.
Wow.
I had to build the entire cabinet, everything around it. Same thing with a transporter. I don't know if y'all want to know what that game is. It's kind of rare. Transporter it's probably the ugliest pinball machine ever made, but it's also like it's like kind of stolen the Star Trek idea of let's go down to a planet. Oh my God, there's a huge monster. Get us out of here now. So that's kind of built on that premise. It's very interesting. I did the same thing. I built a whole cabinet and restored the playfield, and the plastics were missing. Nobody makes the plastics. So I illustrated and photoshopped the plastics. Took me like 60 hours to deal with all that. Had a guy print them out for me and cut them, and was able to do that. So that was nice.
Yeah. Are you going to share that file, or have you gotten that file out there so that some other people working on them can do that?
Yeah, there's a fellow on Pinside. His name is Vim Two-Man, and he actually like reproduces those plastics. He's the guy that made my set for me. So cool. the trade was I gave him the files, and he gave me
you a set.
Two sets of complete sets, and then now he sells the extra sets when people need them. So at least people can get them. But I'm doing that with Gamatron as we speak. I also made the side art for Gamatron, and which I've sold a few, but then I also have the files out there if people kind of want to make their own. And man, I mean, there's so many. There's so many projects I put my hands into. Artwork that I've made. The Captain America and the Avengers side art. I did the illustrator work on that many years ago. What is it called? The Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters. I did the illustrator work for the side art on that also. I don't know if
that is a game I would love to have.
That's a cool game. Man,
I regret selling mine. I paid like $200 for mine and sold it for $900.
Didn't I work on that one?
You did? I think you did.
I think I worked on the monitor or something.
I think you worked on the monitor.
Whoa.
My wife and I both work in robotics, so one of the other themes we are interested in is robot games. That's why I'm so desperate to get our robot working. Yeah.
It was one of those times where I played it and beat it so many times that I was kind of fed up with it. And then after I sold it and then I got home, it was like immediately, I had seller's remorse. That's one of the very few that I've actually had seller's remorse of.
That's your RoboCop.
Yeah, right. I don't plan on going to find another Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters, but I am happy that I at least contributed back somehow into recreating the side art. Now, I don't know if whoever is selling that side art is using my work that I did. If they are, great. If they're not, fine. I don't really care. It was fun to do the project. So,
Ben, can I ask you a nerdy question before we get too far away from it?
Yeah.
You've got an Attack from Mars LE back there.
Uh-huh.
What's your serial number?
Oh, let me.
Should be right on the apron there. Yeah.
69.
Yeah.
420.
It's 45 out of 1,000.
We're 844, the one we have at Pinbar.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like I'm always curious as to like whenever I see one of those, like or the Monster
Monster Bash or
Monster Bash. Because we were able to get 844 for the serial number on that one as well, because they let us get the same matching number.
Nice.
But we sold that. Arlen sold that off a while ago. But it's always curious to see like who else out there has the LEs and where they are on there. So that's pretty cool. You got a low number.
Thanks, man. Do you have a Tron limited edition? Like Tron Legacy? You don't?
No, that'd be cool though. Some friends of mine actually just finished working on Ares, the new movie. So
nice.
Yeah, pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation on whether Stern is going to, vault that machine or do a new iteration of it or whatever because of the new movie. I guess it depends on how popular it is and how well it does or whatever. But
it'll be popular.
I think it'll be good. It'll be good. From the people that I've talked to that worked on it in Vancouver, it'll be a solid film. So
yeah.
Well,
okay,
Ben,
so the things that I'm looking for, I have a Primal Rage PCB set, but I don't have a cabinet. I don't know why I cannot find a dang cabinet. Oh man, it's just killing me. I can't find it anywhere. But that's
would you drive all the way up to him to get it though? Is the question?
No,
I think Primal Rage is one of the most converted cabinets I've ever seen. I think Primal Rage and Tempest have been converted into everything else ever.
Yeah,
I very rarely.
One of those is a great game, and the other one is Primal Rage.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm looking for a Discs of Tron upright. I don't want the E-dot. I think that's too big. I love the E-dot, but I just want the upright. I can't find it anywhere.
And if I know someone who has a shell cabinet for it and it's in Alberta and he wants to get rid of it,
that shipping is going to cost more than the cabinet.
Well, just put my ice cold beer in the truck, take it up there, and bring back that cabinet.
Just drive around on trash day. You're bound to find one at the curbside.
So a buddy of mine just recently, he's an arcade collector. He just recently bought out another local big time arcade collector here in Canada. And one of the things that he got out of that was a near scratch built E-dot. And like, we're just freaking out when we heard this. And I'm like, well, where do you get half the parts? And he wheels over this shell of the upright. And I'm like, oh, so an upright died to make that E-dot, but it's cool. So, and I know he's got the shell, so yeah, I can bug him about it. But again, it's in Canada.
Yeah, that's the trouble with this. You know, I bought my TX Sector pinball machine from a guy in the Netherlands. And I had that son of a gun shipped over all the way over to here. Like, I don't even know how many trucks that thing got on to finally.
Let me tell you, that was a terrible drive to go pick that thing up.
Yeah, I'll never
probably
drive
on
that
at least
far
one
again.
boat too.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, like, it's not that expensive to ship things if you do it properly. Like we're only like 3 hours from the border, right? So if for us to take it over the border and leave it at like the Montana shipping outlet and ship it freight from there would save a little bit of money.
Well, we don't have a Fastenal here anymore. We used to have a Fastenal and things would work out really well for that, but that's not a thing for us anymore. So, I mean, but we are also considered middle of nowhere. So they automatically tap on an extra like $300 to $500 just because we're out here.
Yeah, I know. I bought a Sheriff cocktail and a Hellfire cocktail from a collector in Arizona. He pulled it out of New Mexico, and shipping that up here was like another $700 Canadian. Yeah. Which we're technically in the middle of nowhere in Canada. So
gotcha. Well, the other thing that I'm looking for is just a part, and it's on a Sega Hang-On. I need the leg bracket that sits up underneath the cabinet. I have one that's bent all to heck, and I either got to pull it out and like really flatten it out really good, but it's shot. I mean, the leg bolt thing is like stripped out real bad, and anyway, that
should be a fairly common part. Like, you could put that on the claw. I need that part sitting on your shelf thread.
Well, then I'll do that.
Yeah, I would. It's a fairly it's not a rare game by any stretch of the means. So
yeah. I'll do that. I'll just get on Clov and check it out.
Yeah.
So Charlie, you're at the last stage, or almost the last stage, of dealing with your Miss Pac-Man re-stencil.
And this is what I've been patiently waiting to ask you about, right? Because we went back and forth a little bit talking about you coming on the show, right? What questions we should ask. One of the questions you recommended was, hey, ask me about primer and base coat before applying decals, as Chance would say, or stencils. So
decals.
So the issue
decals are vinyl. Decals are vinyl stickers.
The issue that I'm
decals
is it took me forever to figure out what I was doing paint wise.
Okay.
Because a couple issues. One, the paint manufacturers all changed their formulas a few years ago, and all the old paint codes don't work anymore. Right. Yeah. So the tried and true, everyone agreed this is the consensus, these are the right colors. Throw that out the window. The other issue I have is in my state, Virginia is one of like 5 or 6 states where you can't buy custom tinted oil-based paint, right?
Lame.
You can buy custom tinted latex. You can buy pre-mixed oil-based paint, but you can't buy custom tinted oil-based. And you want, when you're doing stencils, you want to spray oil. You don't want to spray latex, right? So I finally got that sorted out, got the paints that I wanted, and I'm sort of spoiling, not even this weekend, but next weekend's episode is things are going, I think I'm doing solid C- work, right?
Okay.
And the biggest issue that I'm running into is the adhesion of the base coat onto the primer is failing, right? So
I've had that problem. Yep.
Yeah. Every time I do a layer of stencil, a stencil layer, and pull that stencil off, I'm taking more and more of the blue with it, right? More and more of the base layer is coming off. And each time I'm like, oh, that's not so bad. I can touch that up. Oh, that's not so bad. I can touch that up. And right. So it's like, so what, I mean, it's probably too late to do anything. I got one layer left and I'm like, okay, how much more is going to come off with this last layer? But what could I have done differently? I used, I think, the right primer. I mean, and I let the blue cure for like a week. So maybe I didn't do the right thing. So we went down to bare wood, and I thought I would initially do rattle can primer, all Rust-Oleum products, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And I wasn't thrilled with how the rattle can primer was spraying on, right? So after that went on, I did lightly sand it, and then went on with this is all like Rust-Oleum enamel, whatever, high performance, whatever stuff, right? So I did that, primer layer, and lightly sanded that too. So we've got 2 layers of primer on, and then I went with the blue, whatever, safety blue, Rust-Oleum, enamel, high performance, blah blah blah. And I sprayed that on, and lightly sanded that, and then sprayed another layer on. So we've got 2 layers of primer, or 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of blue, and let that cure for like 10 days before putting the first stencil on. And I still had some adhesion issues between the blue and the primer.
Okay, so what grit did you sand that Rust-Oleum primer down with?
I don't know, probably 120 or 220.
So that makes it too fine. And it doesn't get the paint doesn't get a good tooth on it in order for it to hold well. And I've run into this issue before. When I did this crawl, I screwed up one side of it and had to buy another stencil. It was a custom stencil. My God, it was expensive. And and I had a whole like sections this big, like ripping off with pulling the stencil off. So but if
I did like 80, that's just gonna burn right through it, right?
Well, you think so, but 80 is actually like
I think sand of 80.
Because what you can do after because your base coat needs to be rough enough for your blue coat to be able to go on. I've done 4 Miss Pac-Mans and the full stencil all the way around. I have one upstairs right now, and I mean it was a hard lesson to learn, but I did very similar steps to what you're doing, but I learned like you've gotta like sand it with 80 grit, but you need to clean it really good too, because if there's any of that residual left, and I even get a damp microfiber cloth and I wring it out really good and I wipe the whole thing down like super good and then let it dry. And then are you using HVLP or are you rolling, or how are you applying your paint?
HVLP. I do have an older HVLP setup with a big, air compressor. What I'm doing now is I got a cheaper airless HVLP, which is fine. There's less control, but I like that it's easier cleanup.
Yeah. Man, as far as like the paint peeling off, I just think you just sanded too. I bet you that's what it is. Grit.
I remember when I did our joust, I had sanded with 220 by hand on the primer coat, but I was using oil-based paint, and it worked very well.
You just sat there for an evening with the.
Well, I noticed that with the rotary sander and the belt sander I had, it would take off too much, so I really wanted to go with the 220 by hand.
Yeah,
and
that's what I do. I do it by hand. Yeah. Oh. Anytime you're taking off, like always use a machine. But then whenever you're trying
machine,
like what he's saying, like when you sand, like use a machine like Random Orbital or whatever it is, if you're using one of the air ones that connect the air chuck and then you're sanding it down like a car, always take off all that you can, to get it as smooth and flat. And then of course, do your bondo or your resin. If you're dealing with anything that's like particle wood or MDF, I would love to burn it, but sometimes you want to save that. Sometimes some of it's good and only a little bit of it's been water damaged. I found this product called Rot Fix, Now, rot fix is real weird. I don't like to like brush it on. I want to like spray it on. So I buy a spray bottle that it's just gonna be sacrificed, because once that rot fix gets inside of the spray bottle, you spray it for about 10 minutes. The insides of that thing is destroyed. But that's what I do. I mean, it's kind of like you just use materials sometimes just to restore wood. It just is what it is. But I spray that stuff all in the wood and everything, and then let it sit overnight. And that stuff will harden back up to its original. It's like putting its glue back into it whenever the water washed all the glue out.
And you're putting clamping calls on it. You're squishing it back down. And
yes, anything that you can do. But the rot fix is really interesting, where if you spray it in, it's so thick inside of there that even if that swelling hasn't gone away, if you try to compress it down, you can sand it down back to flat.
Oh,
that's what that stuff is really great for. So if you're having to deal with like water damage or heat damage, dry rot, whatever, that stuff has come in really handy. Of course, you guys been doing this long enough to do, your bondo work and all that sort of thing. Replace panels anytime that you can with fresh wood. That really helps a lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I really want to make sure that with Inferno, I'm not replacing anything, which is making it harder.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna put an aftermarket reproduction art kit on there anyway. So really, what's the difference? You will not find.
Then you're gonna spray paint it back and turn it to a 60-in-1.
Yeah.
I will have to do new side art, but I'm not replacing any wood, and that's what I want to ask advice on as well.
But you're gonna have to replace the side art on that. Like,
it's a sticker.
Yeah, sure. It's wood.
It's a decal.
Decal.
Inferno was the only Williams game that used just a sticker on the side. It wasn't it was not a stencil.
Yeah, but it's a reproduction piece anyway. Just make it look good. I know,
and that's what I want to ask about, because the sides are actually not that bad. I wish there was a good way for me to share photos here, but I wanted advice on that. I think it's got a little bit of flaking on the bottom, and I want to try to super glue down the flaking. And then
what kind of wood is it, or what are you dealing with?
The whole thing is plywood, the entire cabinet.
Well, that's just standard Williams plywood.
Yeah.
There's no MDF on this one, unlike my other Williams games. So I am pretty pleased with that.
The resin, if you use Bondo resin instead of just straight like Bondo body shop style Bondo, the resin is impervious to water. Mm-hmm. So none of us ever want our machines to get wet, and we always do everything we can, but unfortunately, like, stuff happens. So I would just put that sucker on any face you could, lay it down on, and then just focus on one piece of wood at a time. Yeah. And resin the heck out of it, and then sand it down to flat, however it is that you want, and then then paint it like normal once you're finished.
Yeah, I see that when I'm looking at the black paint that's on the side, it's hard to tell whether or not it's original or not, because the artwork has been removed. But I do see that there was a layer of gray primer underneath the black paint, and I'm not sure if that was factory or not, because I was told that Williams had just sprayed the oil paint directly on the wood.
Yeah, I believe that.
Not sure yet.
Let me look at my joust, because I completely stripped down a joust back to its plywood, and I got this vague memory that there was a layer of gray primer under it here.
So Charlie,
there's wax on top.
Yeah,
Williams waxed their cabinets.
If you watch the guy that the high-end pins guy, on decals, side art, doesn't matter what he does. He polishes with his buffer. He will sand and polish his decals. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
So like turtle wax. See here, this is the Inferno cabinet I'm talking about with the damage on the bottom.
Yeah.
Very minor.
I would sand that. I would do some resin or some Bondo just to put back into like all the crevices and everything where all like the heat and water damage has been, and then just sand it as flat as you can and get it to be as smooth as the sides of the cabinet are, and just sand the whole thing down really good, and then reapply the paint.
Yeah.
And,
what do you recommend when termites have eaten 80% of the volume of a cabinet?
Fire,
and only fire.
This too, Ben, I picked up recently, or I guess not super recently.
What's that stuff? Rot away?
Rodaway.
Two cockpits,
Fire.
a Road Blaster cockpit and a Star Trek cockpit, and they had both been demolished by termites. So I had to toss both cabinets, and now I've got parts sitting in the garage.
Man, just
We manifested those termites. by
copy.
accident.
Where I'm at, I can't just go like hire somebody to like build a cabinet for me that knows anything about arcade machines. So I either wait for Cade to get a decent cabinet that I can buy off of him, or I'll wait for a cabinet to come up that will replace it, or I will build the cabinet. And that's the longest, most difficult, challenging part, because you've got to transfer all of the geometry and everything and re-engineer the whole dang thing. But in order to get it perfect like you would want it, I mean, I know that, like, with us collectors, like, there's always like this, well, it's not original. Well, I get that. I know it's not original, but it's like, you are at least copying and replacing the parts that were bad, that couldn't be restored, if they can't be restored, if they're eaten that bad away from termites. So,
yeah, no, I refuse to deal with the termites. I'm very glad this thing, it seems solid underneath. It just seems like it got scraped a bunch.
So Liam, this is my multi-Williams, my joust that I turned into a multi-Williams. And all I did was I hit that with some 60 grit, and I got the old layer of paint off. I got it back down to the plywood, and then I restored the bottom of the edges of the plywood and kind of cleaned them up with a little bit of Bondo. But like this thing, like, it's just like, it's a high quality plywood. Sprayed the front, sprayed the sides.
Seeing that the front was plywood was a pleasant surprise for me, because I had problems with the NDF on the front of my Joust and Robotron.
Oh yeah, these cabinets are completely plywood. One thing I did do on this one, because I didn't want to spray. Sorry, I didn't spray the sides. I did laminate for the sides of this.
I was just about to ask really what you sprayed it with, because I've had mixed recommendations for what to paint it with. I have the Rust-Oleum satin black oil-based rattle can, which Fetish Boy recommends, and I've used on our other Williams cabinets to great effect. It looks nice. Mm-hmm. But I was also thinking about just getting oil-based Rust-Oleum paint in a can and applying it with my HVLP setup.
You know what I think? I think Rust-Oleum black, you get some Kills primer on there, and after you've done the wood repair, okay, here, from the top, sand the sides down, sand that whole cabinet down with some 60 or some 80, okay? Then give it maybe a 120. Get some Kills primer on there, maybe some Kills gray primer, and then I would just hit it with some Rust-Oleum black.
From a rattle can or from an HVLP? That's what I'm debating.
Well, I do either way. You could really go either way. But I can't overstate this enough. Like, do two coats with a rattle can or with the HVLP, but in between, sand and make it flat, because whenever you have that orange pill in there, you've got to sand out that orange pill. If you don't sand out the orange pill, it's just going to give you lots of problems, especially with decals setting on. If you don't have a flat surface for your decals.
With my joust, the painting of it took more than a month, because I was sitting there and resanding. But before I was putting it together.
It's at the end of the day, man.
At the end of the day, you have to understand that, like, someone at some point in time is going to nick that cabinet anyway. Like, it is good to spend hours on it, but like at this point, like, you've got to think with this cabinet, with what it's going to need is going to be the 80-20 rule. That last 20% that you're going to put into it, you're the only person that's going to notice.
I notice.
Yeah, but
I really appreciate that extra 10 to 20% that people put into it, because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah, no, I'm with Ben on this one. This is a cabinet this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to restore, right?
Yeah, you got me there.
You're never gonna find another one of these.
So you know what? Just give it when it comes down to rattle can or paint. I don't know about your rattle can ability. Like I can rattle can like there's nobody's business, because everyone normally is like, oh well, I leave tiger stripes all the time. But I feel much more confident with a rattle can than a roller. If you're gonna do it, you've just got to get a good light source with a rattle can and make sure you're overlapping just nice and clean and perfect. If you don't feel comfortable with that, then go paint. But either way is going to be good. It just depends on what you are more capable and experienced with.
If you have the time and the patience, you can lay your cabinet on the side and then just do the top facing part, and then spray that, let it, or you can even stand it up to let it dry. But I would wait for a little bit, but if it gives you more confidence, that's what I do sometimes. If you're not having to apply decals, and like on a Miss Pac-Man, for example,
there are decals for this one.
So
Decals.
Like in the case of Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man or any of these that we're re-stenciling all the artwork back on, Minwax makes this stuff that my mom actually used to, like, for a living. She would restore furniture, and she showed me this stuff called Minwax spar urethane, and and you get the satin sheen, and you can give that sucker a light spray, walk away for 10 or 15 minutes, and come back and give it another spray all over it, and then walk away for 2 days. And then you will come back and it will have a crystal, like a hardened diamond crystal, like surface on it, where you can rub things against. I've even thrown rocks at it before, and it hasn't left any marks. So it's that stuff has been fantastic. I spray all my cabinets with it that I do any kind of stenciling work, pinball, arcade, it doesn't matter. That stuff really, really helps a lot, especially like for the length of history that we want it to last, generations beyond us or whatever, that kind of thing. So Charlie, I really feel for you for that black that you're about to lay down. That is probably the worst stencil out of every stencil I've ever done. Oh, because
that doesn't, like, the meticulousness and all the, like,
well, it has
really
has all those tiny little dithering, like, spots that you have to get perfect, and if they're not perfect, then it doesn't look right.
We're well past this ain't looking right. We're well past that.
Well, just get an artist brush, and then take your paint and then just dip your artist brush in, and then just tap it in there. And I promise you, man, once you get all that done and it dries, you'll never notice that you had to touch it up. It's going to be fine.
And here's the thing. I think, in retrospect, Ms. Pac was a pretty ambitious first stencil to do, right? It is a pretty complex one.
Yeah. But you had to start somewhere.
Had to start somewhere.
It was my first.
It's got lots of overlapping stuff too, versus like the Williams tend to be disjoint stencils, right?
A little bit.
Like non-overlapping for the most part. What I really liked was the pink I did with rattle cans, because that's the only way I could find a matching color. And that went great. Like the rattle can paint, dries very quickly. I thought it went on very easy. So like in the future, like there are some Williams cabinets that I'll probably have to be, stenciling in maybe next year. My game plan for those might be forget HVLP, roll on the base coat and rattle can the stencils, right? And if it's just a Defender, who really cares, right? Like if I was going to do like some super high end thing, I might take a different approach. But if I'm just like, refreshing a Defender, maybe I just do, like I said, roll the base coat and rattle can the stencil layers.
We always try to do kind of like a base coat with HVLP first and then rattle cans like that. I think it lends more to just get extra rattle cans and just go to it. You can touch up a little bit, but I mean, like, compared to the stencils that we have today that we do our games with, they're just vinyl layers. Compared to what they had before, the only real change is you won't get that overspray look, like on some Williams cabinets. But it's really hard without those big rubber stencils. It's really hard to get that anyway. So again, it's not original, and you'll know it's not original. So,
all that work to stick it in a row.
Yep.
Exactly.
I know.
The front hasn't had any paint lifted, so that's good.
Another just piece of advice. So like every once in a while you run into a cabinet where you only need to like refresh the stencil. Like you don't like want to repaint the entire cabinet. Maybe 3/4 of it's still good. There is this stuff that I think Hobby Lobby sells it. It's called Frisket, and it's like for hobby model, creating stencils and stuff, but they sell it in rolls, and you can roll it out, and then you can just cut it out with a, just follow the lines on the cabinet and basically remake the stencil right on the cabinet, spray it, and then pull the stencil off, and then and it's great. Another material.
I've got a Taito that I might need to do that with.
Another material, if you cannot find Frisket in particularly, whenever we were in grade school, we had to like wrap our books with like a clear, like a book cover. I don't know if you guys had to do that or not, but we did. Anyway, if you go to, of course, Hobby Lobby, again, for us in West Texas, that's what we have. But they have that book cover material, and it pulls off very, very nicely, and you can cut it. It's what I did my Indiana Jones stenciling with. If you guys click on the link that I posted in the chat on YouTube, then you'll see the finished Indiana Jones that I did with all the artwork and everything on the side. I didn't do the typical decals that they usually do on that machine. So anyway, that stuff works out really good.
The Frisket's like a liquid mask.
No, it's like a clear vinyl decal that you would lay on there, and then you cut it off, and then you can spray, or you cut the shapes out that you need on the cabinet, right? So it's like making.
I found Frisket on Hobby Lobby, but it's like liquid Frisket.
Do you have Hobby Lobby over there?
Yeah.
Oh,
it must be something else now. I've tried to look for it before. That's why I'm saying use the book cover material that they also carry, because I had trouble finding Frisket. My buddy that has been restoring machines. I'm 43 years old. I've got a buddy that's 65 years old that's been restoring pinball machines way long before I ever even thought about collecting anything. And he swore by that stuff. So that may be what they called it back in his day. So we must be calling it or using something different in our day.
How about at the end of the process, clear coat over the top, or what do you do?
Well, that's why I said that Minwax spar urethane satin. That stuff is great too. Let's see if I can pull up a link for that real fast.
Do they make a semi-gloss version of that as well?
Maybe. I think so. They have like 3 different sheens, I believe. I like to use satin myself because it's close enough to semi-gloss.
How would you apply that? Spray, roll, what?
Spray it. Get the rattle can. It is
rattle
expensive.
can.
It's $15 for a rattle can, but it will do one cabinet.
Wow. That's like a $25 Canadian. Like, no, all joking aside, that'd be like a $25 can of rattle.
Yeah.
Here.
Well,
I believe it.
With the pink, right, that I did with rattle cans, the pink that I found was the best match. It's called Poppy Pink. Now my chair doesn't want to lean back. And I could only even get it in a case of 6, right? And I figured, hey, 6 cans, that'll be plenty. I did the pink in 1.5 cans, the whole cabinet. Yeah. It was like that, right? It was like I put it on thick, right? It was good.
But that whenever you're doing stencils, and I can speak to experience on this, whenever you're doing stencils, always get at least 2 more cans, 1 or 2 more rattle cans of paint than you think you need, because you will get to the end, especially if you're painting like a Williams with red on it. You'll get to the end of a Robotron stencil, and you'll just throw the empty can across the room because you don't think you get enough coverage.
For the yellow, I had a snap moment and had to sprint back into the garage and mix a little bit more yellow because I ran out in the sprayer. And always with the black, right? So the last part with the black, I have to spray the black stencils, but I also have to respray inside the hood of the cabinet, right? That's black, right? So like inside the Mizpac, like so I was thinking of doing the stencils with rattle cans, but I don't know if I want to do that whole inner sort of hood part with rattle cans.
I have before just using the rattle can. What brand is the Krylon Satin Black? Has a really good, nice finish to it. It doesn't really create stripes too bad, and I've had great success with it in the past.
Yeah.
Again, for like anyone who's ever like trying to paint with a rattle can and they want to avoid stripes, get a good light source on the other side so you can see the paint as it's laying down, and then literally like overspray past the space that you're doing. But just get coverage, but don't get too much coverage.
But think about the geometry, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the same with my track and field, right?
I've got 3 wall. I've got you know, and the overhang, right? So like it's gonna be hard not to get paint
no, Charlie.
up in the corners.
Charlie, it's the exact same as I did on my track and field. Yeah, you go little motions, but
little tiny sprays in the corners and all the edges and everything, just little tiny stuff. Don't feel like you've got to like do it in 3 seconds. Yeah.
See, I worry though, like stopping and starting on the piece.
No.
That leads to
no. Listen.
Practice look, on cardboard.
You don't need to be an automotive painter. A very, very good friend of mine who's been in the automotive painting industry for almost 25 years said this to me. He says, "Don't be a one coat wonder. Don't be a one coat wonder.
What I'm saying,
give it a nice layer. Come back in 15 minutes. Give it another nice layer, and you will get coverage, even in those little cracks, and even in that weird geometry of the alcove of the cabinet. To put it on its back.
Alcove. What I feel most comfortable with is starting my spray off of the piece, right? And then moving on even, and like the camera's making, like I'm keeping my hands parallel to the camera, even though it looks like it's rotating. And then like taking my finger off the trigger once we're past the piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I do the quick spritz, right, like I get too much material at the beginning or end of that.
You need to move your hand faster and be like have your hand in motion already and then spray. So like I don't know how to do this on the camera. So like you're moving and then you spray and then you let off.
Yeah, and it's going to help if you do the cabinet on its back as well. So here, similar. So this was when I did the track and field. So paint doesn't adhere, especially that blue paint doesn't adhere really well to the laminate that Century used. But I knew I had to get a nice, fresh, clean look on that. So I put it on its back, and every little crack, every little crevice, just do a little bit on the corners, and then come over with like a full coat.
Century.
Century time. Decal. But yeah, like it where is it? Oh, here it is. So this is what I use just for that one cabinet. A couple black primers, 4 extra tall cans of the black semi-gloss, 6 cans of deep blue, and 1 can of white, which I don't think I actually used the white. I think I still have that.
Are those satin black? Are they Rust-Oleum also?
Yeah, everything on that is. I almost always use Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch. With the odd time I'll use Krylon. The odd time, and like whenever I'm doing like pinball back glass or like an arcade back glass that's been painted, just you can't really get it in Canada anymore. But like that the triple thick for that. Thick. But man, like so I've got 100 cans of Rust-Oleum spray downstairs in my warehouse.
Dude, I have never had good success with Rust-Oleum like colors and blacks. I don't know why. I don't know if it's
just the way.
It's ridiculously dry where we are. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, we're fairly Calgary is fairly dry as well. Like, we get snow, like haha Canadians. But we get hail, yeah. But
I'm sorry, you get what?
Decals.
No.
Decals. I'm
familiar.
I'm trying to find it here. So the first
banana flippers.
The first game I ever did that I painted. Oh, here I found it. We were talking about this in the green room just before the show. So this is the this is the Donkey Kong Ultimate kit that I made. I've got a really good picture of it when I sprayed it. Here, one more page back. So this game, I did some test sprays on that, and it came out solid, like a nice sheen to it. This is the Rust-Oleum purple, like the plum color that they have. And this came out really, really nice. In fact, any of the pictures that I have of the actual paint job. So this was the cabinet before I painted it. It was in a bad way. There's just layers of bondo. Somebody used drywall filler on it, so I had to re-bondo all of that. But I did just a black base layer, masked off everything, and then took the Rust-Oleum to it. And when I was done, I was left. That's a really bad picture because it was just bad lighting.
Is that a murder room?
Yeah. This is my Dexter kill room paint booths that I can build. But when I was done, like, I was left with a purple arm and a really nice.
Those bugs.
Bugs?
Yeah, those two little marks.
Oh yeah, probably. But at the end of the day, like, I was really proud with the finish that I got out of it. It looks good. Like, when you see it in person, pictures never do it justice.
Yeah.
But it looks
original Nintendo purple.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, "What?" Well, even Ben saw it in the green room. He's like, "What's that? What's that Donkey Kong cabinet?" It was something that I did on a number of years ago on
I get it. I'm one of the reasons that the Fix It Felix package exists for like whenever those. Okay, so I went to Disney World and I apologize. The gentleman that was working on the original art package for that game, to be able to put it out to all the BYOAC guys and all the Clov guys that wanted to build that machine. I was at Disney World and we were messaging each other back and forth, and he was like, "I need photos.
Yeah,
get me all the photos." So I went and found those two Fix It Felix machines they had in Disney World, took all the photos I could, brought them back, sent them to him, and then he proceeded to do the Illustrator work. But I get it, man. I made the Fix It Felix machine. I've got a DK original Junior 3 Mario Bros wide body, Play Choice 10 dual monitor, and a Super Punch Out upstairs. Those are my Nintendo cabs. So.
Well, but like, at the end of the day, like, I mentioned to you this in the green room, like, I was in a space that with the girl I was dating at the time, this was a decade ago, that we just had a small little condo, and I just didn't think I was ever going to have space for anything more than just one DK. And I got the cabinet. It was like a 16-hour round trip to go get it and bring it home. And, I just thought, I want all of the four-way Mario, all of the four-way DK games in one cabinet.
So what system did you use?
Arcade SD.
60 and 1.
Yeah, basically. Arcade SD.
I've got Arcade SD. Yeah, it's in my Kicks cocktail machine. So,
and you can put Foundry on that. You can put DK2 on that. You can put Pauline Edition, and that's just my thing. And then I've got two separate SD cards. One that has all of the Donkey Kong stuff, and then one that has all of the Arcade SD games. Now, since then, I've come across a red Nintendo 5-slot Donkey Kong, which, well, it was a radar scope, but it was factory converted. So I converted it back to a DK. So I've got, 3 other Donkey Kong cabinets, but that purple one's still awesome. Like, I love that work.
Nice. Yeah, it looks good.
Thanks.
Guys, this has been awesome, Ben. We're going to have to bring you back at some point and pepper you with a million other questions.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. If people, do you have a social media or YouTube, or is there a place where people can go, like, follow you or
yeah, I mean, I've got a
anything.
YouTube. It's like Chosen S. I'll post a link to it on the chat real quick. I'm not a big personality like you guys are. I kind of like huddle into my projects and I keep pretty quiet, with crazy stuff like this. And really, nobody really knows about the crazy stuff that I do. This is the first time I've really gotten on anything to say, hey, this is the crazy stuff I've done.
I'm going to be changing the title of this to say, like,
Space
World
Cadet,
breaking news, Space Cadet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm going to try really, really, really hard to make this thing a reality. That's my hope and that's my goal.
Yeah, please do. Please do everything I can. Definitely do. And then get me a price on one, because I will buy one.
Come on.
Awesome.
I may sell you one. Who knows?
All right. Well, Kay, Liam, and Chance, why don't you guys plug your channels and where everyone can find you, starting with Kay?
I'm Kay with Prime Arcade Sales and Repair. You can find me on TikTok at Prime_Arcade. I do videos pretty much every week of the machines that I restore and repairs, things that I pick up, little adventures I have along the way.
No dancing, though, right?
I mean, if I sell a dance game, you can watch me play it. It's kind of the same.
Can you just floss at least, like increase the level of flossing on your channel by like 10%?
Do you think they would like? Well, I mean, that'd be really easy because to increase from 10% more of 0 is still 0.
I
So,
think it would go along.
You know what?
As a former
Done.
marketing guy, I would strongly advise you to floss more.
you know
Like
what?
the dance, not the floss. I don't know. But
No, I mean,
oral hygiene.
4 out of 5 dentists agree that I should floss more.
Probably.
There you go. Liam.
You can find us at Retrobotics on YouTube and 64-bit on Caleb. Hopefully we will have some more content coming soon. We have the Inferno in the workshop, and I'm hoping to actually take video of it. I'm very bad at remembering to film things when I get caught up in actually working on something, but I'm hopeful that there will be more footage coming soon.
Awesome. Chance, when's that next episode of the Canadian Arcade coming out?
Quiet. Dude, Liam, I'm so excited about your Inferno, man. That's going to be so cool. I'm so happy for you guys. Canadian Arcade. So yes, I am one half of the Canadian Arcade. Kay shakes his head. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can always point your camera at that QR code on the screen. That'll take
your name like obscures part of the corner. It's not going to work.
Then okay, hold
You
on.
can't but honestly, this entire episode is going to be worthless as an audio episode anyway.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They're definitely going to be able to see that because they have to watch this version of it.
But okay, honestly, like I'm just okay. Little plug. If you haven't seen this on, I'm just gonna edit my name out. If you haven't seen this on YouTube, if you're just listening to this on audio, just go to Charlie's channel and just go subscribe to him and go to the YouTube channel because you're gonna get probably one of I'm not brown nosing or anything. Probably one of the best YouTube channels that we have now. I've been watching this YouTube content, arcade content for a long time. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, Charlie will surpass the Canadian Arcade numbers very, very soon. I think we're only like 12.
Just watch everyone unsub when I release that stencil video.
No, you'll be fine. So go online. If you're not a YouTube person, go create a burner account. Go subscribe to Charlie. But yeah, watch this video online because like what you're doing is wicked. And you need to see that. So anyway, going back to it. So yes, here is the QR code. We are Chance and Josh Brown from the Canadian Arcade. And then you can also see us on Instagram. We post the odd thing there as well. And I use QR codes because it's just easier for people watching than if they're watching on like an Apple TV or a smart TV, you can't just go down and click the link. So I'm helping the people find the content.
And before the episode, you were asking me all these questions about analytics. I don't think you've done any analytics on who's scanning your QR codes.
No, I have not, because these QR codes that we use are non-trackable QR codes. We don't have a third party. They're actual like raw data QR codes. A lot of people don't know this, but when you actually use like one of those third-party websites to create a QR code, there's a tracker involved with that, and we don't want that. We just want to send you to the actual content.
Don't scan random QR codes, just like don't click on random links in emails. Anyway, exactly. I'm Charlie from Overtime Arcade. Somehow just got a huge endorsement from the Canadian Arcade. If you're watching this right now, you're watching this on my channel. Do all the stuff the algorithm wants you to do, like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever. Really want to give a huge thank you to all of the channel members that support me so much, and everyone that made a super chat or gifted donation here. So we have Godimus Maximus actually now did 3 super chat donations. He had 5 more bucks he's got to get rid of. So thank you for that $499 million super chat, Goat. Billy Bob and Frog Puppet also made super chat donations, and Wayne gifted 5 subscriptions. So anyone that's got a new 1 month free trial subscription or free channel membership, like I said, go to the community page or community tab on my channel. Click on the most recent members only thing, and there'll be a link to the Discord. Anyway, we are way past Kay's bedtime. I'm not going to be working on that burger time tonight, so I'm going to get to bed myself so I can wake up tomorrow morning, get it done, do the editing, get that video out, and hopefully have everything ready for the public on Monday. This has been an awesome episode. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. Thank you, Kay, for making that happen. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to the fun that we have here. And we'll see you next month. Wait, Mike's Arcade was here the whole time? He was here the whole time?